Good morning. What are
Good
you
morning.
doing? You chewing your face?
Oh, I was just biting my lip.
God, that looked like it hurt.
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm
Way to
not,
engage.
not bleeding out.
Well, as long as you're not bleeding out, I'm happy to hear that. I got to ask you guys a question because this is something I had no knowledge of, and I've studied history over and over and over again, and I don't know why it never came up. Did you know there were like 8 presidents before George Washington?
No,
Nope.
You ever heard of that?
no.
Like president of the board or like actual president of the United States?
They were called President of the United States. There were, I think, 8 of them, and I've only heard of one of them. If one of you guys could look it up, it's a hell of a story. I guess I don't know where it is, but I mean, 8 or 9 presidents before George Washington became the president of the United States. I never heard of that.
Yeah, it looks like we got a John Hanson in 1715,
Right,
1783, Elias Boudinot, something, Thomas Mifflin,
But we
John
weren't.
Hancock.
But we weren't United States then. We were a disembodied franchise.
Yeah.
They were called President of the United States, though.
Yep. Is it something that we now call them presidents of the United States, where back in the day they were, hey, I'm in charge of these 5 little huts over here?
They only had 5 huts. Yeah, maybe. I just, who revealed this on national television? Why it's even a story?
Who's that?
I bet you'll never guess who revealed it.
Ooh.
Very talented guy. There's no question about it. I didn't know he was a fantastic historian, which I guess he was. He's dead now, unfortunately. Died very young. I'll give you some hints before you can get. He revealed this on national television. The first time I've ever heard of it, anyway. And Catherine found the article.
Okay.
But let's see. How can I start giving you hints on who it was? He's from Minnesota. Okay, that's one thing.
Okay.
That doesn't open a lot of doors for you.
No.
Chris
He-
Eggert.
Yes, it was Chris Eggert. Absolutely. It was Chris Eggert. He was a very talented musician. That should lead you a long way toward who it was.
Can I take a stab?
Sure.
Either A, Bob Dylan, or B, Prince.
You are correct. It was Prince.
All right.
I don't know that people realize how smart Prince really was. Prince was a brilliant man. There's no question about that. Across the board, studied history. I mean, the guy, he was a hell of a smart guy. Unfortunately, what did he die at, like 53 or something like that?
I'm trying to think. He died in what, 2017?
Oh God, is it that long ago already?
2018. I remember I was in
Yes.
college.
Yeah, it's like
It's
2017,
57.
2018.
57.
what?
Pretty?
57, yeah.
He was 57. Okay, yeah. See, like I said, I met him once, and he said hello, and that was about it. And not like we had a long conversation, but I had no idea there were all those presidents before George Washington, and they were indeed called the President of the United States. So I don't know why don't we honor them today?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows about it.
Yeah, it looks like they were referred to as presidents of the United States in Congress assembled.
There you go.
Once we shortened the name up, then we restarted our count.
That's it. We'll get to George Washington and move forward from there.
Yeah, and it looks like when he was elected, he acknowledged all 6 or 8 of them that were there. But yeah, once it was shortened to the United States, at least according to this website, they restarted the count because they considered it something different.
Yeah, but why wasn't this taught in school? It's kind of interesting. Nobody ever taught us this.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the list, and I recognize some of the names, Peyton Randolph, John Hancock, Henry Lawrence, I guess Sam Huntington. Maybe there was 2 Huntingtons, but I know a couple of the guys on the list. But yeah, I never knew that they were in that position prior to Washington.
See, look at that. Catherine actually found this story and was telling me about it. And I was like, what? I've never even heard of that kind of thing. And then she told me Prince was the one who revealed it on national television. Or I shouldn't say revealed it, but talked about it on national television, which I find that stuff fascinating, that we don't even know a pretty big part of our history. Because most people don't even know who those people are. Well, John Hancock, they know who he is, but that's about the deal. So look at this. We're 4 minutes in. You've already learned a huge amount about history in the United States. You see what I'm saying?
You're welcome.
And yeah, and well, I guess now that I'm in the rabbit hole of looking at this, some people are saying there were as many as 14 men who were president before George Washington. So yeah, there's a whole secret society of Yeah, a
Presidents.
couple people are saying there was 14 chief executives before.
Chief executives.
Yeah.
But only, I think 8 of them were called, or 8 or 9 of them were called the president of the United States.
Okay.
Exactly. Moving on to really important news, because this is really important news to kick off the show. Car dealer pays Marine to kill sex worker. Thank you for that story, kicking things off.
Oh, dang.
We're jumping in hot.
Yeah.
Jumping in hot, ladies and gentlemen. Wealthy car dealer paid ex-IDF Marines to kill escort blackmailer over threats that expose sex trysts. I don't understand something. Why would you have a sex tryst without understanding it's probably going to get revealed someday? So why are you doing it? If you're so afraid of that, why are you doing it?
I don't know. Enough to kill somebody.
Yeah, to kill somebody. Exactly. That's a very good point. You get so worked up, you're going to kill someone?
Yeah.
Right. And in the grand scheme of things, we wouldn't know who this Texas businessman was if he didn't blackmail and kill this girl. Like, he could have just taken the L. His wife finds out. They probably get divorced. And then he continues with his life where now he's going to prison.
Listen, if you hired a sex worker, I'll still buy a car from you.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. They showed that deal last night. I can't remember where it was in Congress or whatever, but there's a guy talking to his, but they're both like, I think, state Congress people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it was, but it doesn't matter where it was. The guy's leaning over talking to his buddy, and he doesn't realize that their mics are still on because they clip they got the desktop mic in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize the mics are still on. He goes, "Yeah, man, you should have seen this bitch. She was fine. I was all over her, man. We had sex. I was spanking her." And everybody could hear what he's saying. I mean, that's a little bizarre, don't you think?
That's hilarious and also obvious.
Yes.
I get that they're normal people too, but I feel like as soon as you show up to work at Congress, maybe like that talk, it's like anything, you know?
Right. Yeah, the water cooler talk is a little different in Congress than it is at your,
Yeah, but here's the thing too. Am I crazy that like as coworkers, if like I don't even want to use you guys as an example. Let's say a made up person named Kevin was like, that sounds too close to Tevin. Sorry, that's the name of my cat. We'll say Frank. If Frank showed up and was like, I was spanking this guy, I'd be like, I am your coworker, sir. Like, we do not need to do so.
I don't care. Like, there's especially guys that get that fraternity type vibe where they're like, oh yeah, look at that girl. Let me talk about that. And I'm like, dude, just like, I'm not 12.
At work, people do that?
Oh, absolutely. I've had jobs where it was like, oh man, she's so good. And then go and get everybody else gather around so we can all go look. It's like, guys, I need everybody to exhale. Like, have you never seen a woman before? Like, let's all.
I'm going to reveal to you these are deep sex secrets that I have.
Yeah.
I've never spanked anyone.
Oh, well, I actually feel like you're missing out.
Sure. Absolutely. No question about it. I never choked anyone out while having sex. Never did that either.
That's okay.
So I've missed out on a lot of things in life, apparently, that I could sit in Congress and talk about on a hot mic. First of all, if there's a mic in front of you, shut up.
I know.
Yeah.
You just assume that it's on. Even if it's off, you say, nope, that thing is still on. Yeah. And the guy, by the way, apparently, as soon as his wife and 3 kids found out about it, they fired him from Congress. He was kicked out of Congress, I guess, like the next day. But I still don't understand why would I turn to one of you two on this show during a break? We're in break, and I'd go, you know what I did last night? I choked this guy out with a chain, and he's dead. What?
If you started talking about your sex life during our breaks, I would end my life.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
We just take each other out. It'd be unbelievable. No, I agree. I never wanted to hear that stuff. When you were a teenager, you heard a lot of that. You know, I felt it up over the dress, and I don't care. What are you telling me for?
The only time in my life it was an acceptable. I mean, obviously, like everyone has friends, and you can talk to your friends about whoever. But only time in my life I like allowed coworkers to be very inappropriate, like and tell whatever things, was when I was deployed because we lived together and we were the only interaction. So I would listen to stories, and they were like years ago because obviously we were deployed for a year. So they'd be whatever. I would let the guys talk about whatever because that was our only out. There were some of them were literally 19 years old. So like live and let be. But if nowadays, don't you have friends? Like, I would never be like, AJ, you should have known what Justin and I did last
Right.
night.
Oh
Like
my
I have
gosh.
friends like that I would talk to about that.
See, for me, it's like a vacation that somebody else took. If I wasn't there, I don't really care to hear about
Yep.
it, you know?
All right.
Yep.
Like, unless it's a funny story and you tell your friends about it, like it's a mishap. But like, what else, especially now, nobody wants to hear about marital sex, Tom.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, honestly, I was with him last night and he shoved a popsicle up my ass. Who cares? I don't. Good. I'm glad you're happy and you had a good time, but I don't care.
Right. If you feel the need to tell me you had sex last night, you can just say I had sex and that's all I need to know. Like I don't need to hear all the details of every little thing.
And even that's too much. I don't care.
Even that's weird if you came in.
Okay. In any case, a married Texas businessman and father of two was entangled with a Nashville, Tennessee escort and then blackmailed by her on and off lover, Eric Charles Mound, M-A-U-N-D. Would you pronounce that Mound? It's Mound, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't think he's going to call in and say anything if it's wrong.
Yeah, probably. The heir to a lucrative Austin-based car company received anonymous threatening texts about a month after his extramarital escapade with 33-year-old Holly Williams. They demanded $25,000. Over the next 11 days, the situation spiraled out of control. Mound's privately funded investigation into who sent the extortion demands became a murder for hire plot. Boy, that took a big turn, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Involving a retired Israeli Defense Force member and two retired U.S. Marines. On March 12, 2020, the day after Mound was supposed to pay up, Williams and her then boyfriend, William Lanway, who sent the blackmail texts, were found dead in a Nashville construction site with bullet holes in their heads.
Is this Zero Dark 30? What is the personnel required for this job?
Dude, execution style and go out and dump them in a construction site. Is there anything more just stereotypical than that going on?
Wait. Are you taking shots at Italians here? Is that what you're saying?
Whatever Russian, Italian mob, whoever burying people in concrete where they're never going to be found again type of thing. It sounds like something straight out of a movie.
Okay, Phil is out of town today. That's why he's not on. Does anybody want to talk about any sports? No sports going on right now, are there?
It was a big night once again for the Wolves and the Wild.
Yep. Oh, was it really last night?
Yeah.
A couple more W's. Your favorite Gopher football team, their quarterback is now transferring out. Have you heard that news?
No. Doesn't surprise me.
No. Well, they obviously have the bowl game coming up, and typically it's just 3 more weeks of practice, and then we'll move on to next season when our bowl game is over. But the coach came in or announced that they're bringing in a new recruit or a new guy in the transfer portal that is probably going to start. And so then 2 quarterbacks, Kelly McManus, a starter, and then one other guy that was a backup to a backup is like, yeah, we're out. Deuces.
Yeah. One of the running backs too, I think Zachary Brown. He was like the 3rd string or 2nd string, but he was poised to be probably the next lead running back. And he's like, yeah, respect my decision. I'm out.
Really? So honest God, everybody. So what do you see from this? Is it going to improve the team? Is it going to make the team worse? I mean, how do you see this?
I don't know how good the new quarterback coming in is, but I think the team is going to get worse just because even if the players are better, the teams coming into the Big Ten from the Pac-12 are all head and shoulders like we'll piss pound the Gophers by 30 points. Yeah. So their record's not getting better anytime soon.
Yeah, and PJ's like bread and butter was the run game. And so if he's losing any running backs, because you got to think he was like you could argue some of his best seasons were when he had Mo Ibrahim back there running for like 300 yards a game or something like that. So losing any running back in a system where you expect they're going to get touches in enough, that's not a great sign. So they're going to have to replenish and hopefully just pull a gem out of somewhere that can really just step up.
Yeah, because his whole MO is an offensive play call. Not that he called the offense, but his offensive philosophy was definitely we're going to run the ball, play action, take a deep shot, which is a very old school way of playing. And now you're getting all these Pac-12 teams and even the teams at the top of the Big Ten where they're more pass oriented and they're running up the score. And it's hard to play a ball control game when the other team's putting up 50.
Now that we're in this division, is there any chance this team is ever going to be good again? They're going to get slaughtered for many years.
I mean, I hope they're good, but
Be
the
great.
hope is about all we got because it's not looking great. There has to be significant improvements.
The hope is what kills you, is what they say.
Yeah. It's
No,
like,
I suppose that's true. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because they're literally bringing in the best teams from a different conference to
Mhm.
now push Minnesota from fighting for, third to now they're going to be fighting for like eighth.
Not good. Hey, they finished 9th last year, so 8th this year is great. Yeah, wonderful. That's they got to do something about that program over there. And again, I don't understand how that athletic director is still even around. He has won nothing the whole time he's been here. Has he won anything?
No. And I heard yesterday some people talking, because when PJ got hired, his big thing was, I'm going to be this great recruiter and we're going to these top classes. And like his highest recruiting class has been ranked like 28th or something like that. And most of them are in the mid to low 30s. And so you're not even doing the one thing that you said you were going to be able to do much better than everybody else.
And the other thing about it is, and we've talked about this before, I am heartbroken that the Minnesota Gopher basketball team, the men's basketball team, sucks so badly. I was a huge fan back in the day. I was, but it's been many years since I've even watched a game. Now, that team is terrible. Yeah, what are we going to do about this?
I don't know. You got to start with bringing in the right players. And I think adjusting the way, because college athletics is different. It's no longer just find the best seniors in high school and develop them and get now you have to work the transfer portal. And that's almost more important than bringing up, some 5-star recruit. You have to find the transfer portal people that have been there and done that. And it sucks. And we can't keep people that are in our own state. Like you need a group, you got to convince a group of kids that are in state that are really good to stay. So that way you can kind of build around that and hopefully get some momentum. I'm
not a huge college football fan, altogether, but the thing I love about it is the transfer portal. The name might be the best thing about college football. Yeah. You know how cool I would switch schools every year because I'm hopping into the transfer portal. That just sounds so cool.
Yeah. Why don't you settle down, Captain Kirk? That's what that is. That's Star Trek, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was a portal, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure they went into the portal, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, portal or beam. Lasers, whatever. They had a bunch there.
Yeah, it's the wild, wild west. There was 86 kids. They just did an article on Yahoo about all the players from Colorado that got mass exodus from that school once Deion showed up. And the one player was he was like, yeah, I went through spring ball. Coaches said I was doing great. One day I got a text that we're having a meeting over at the stadium. He said he showed up and there was 50 other players all lined up outside of Deion Sanders' office. Yeah. He was like, one after another, we all went in and it was thanks, have a nice life type of thing. It was a less than 5-minute conversation. He was like, and as I walked out, the player that was replacing me walked in.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my gosh. It's so, yeah.
Did he win any games just very quickly, AJ? Did he win any games?
They got off to a very hot start and then completely fell apart because their team isn't very good. Their offensive line was terrible.
And they missed a couple people got hurt, their best receiver. But that leads into what I was going to ask you. That he finished 4-8 this year, and then Sports Illustrated named him the Sports Person of the Year.
Because he's changed the culture and the expectation of the school where it's clearly on the come up, where PJ Fleck kind of had the same philosophy of I'm going to come in and change everything, but then he didn't change anything. He just kept talking about I'm going to change it. And so people are like, well, this is all just kind of BS. Whereas Deion was like, I'm going to change everything. And then day one, here's 86 new people.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have to take a break here, and I have to apologize to Brittany because she had this all teed up. We will get to the story that you sent me, Brittany. We didn't get to it in this segment, but we will get in one of them. She wanted me to read the story. Hospital worker has sex with corpses.
Yeah, baby. It's Friday.
You actually sent me that story.
I didn't, but I am in.
I sent it, and just wait until you read the story.
Ugh, I got goosebumps from. Ugh. It's nasty, isn't it?
It's not great.
That's what I thought. We'll get to it at some point. That's all I'm having to say here. We got a little Chris Eggert coming up next. We'll take a break here. Guys, if you want to reignite your intimacy once and for all, listen, just give Twin Cities Premier Health a call for a discreet and confidential in-office evaluation by their highly trained staff of medical professionals. Acoustic wave therapy sessions are 25 to 30-minute treatments with no pain, no downtime afterward. And right now, Twin Cities Premier Health is offering a free treatment and a free consultation when you book today. Receive this $800 value when you use code word TOM at TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. You may know that age-related erectile dysfunction is most commonly caused by a buildup of plaque in the arteries that supply blood to the erectile tissue. Acoustic wave therapy can rescue your relationship and has been clinically proven to break up plaque and improve blood flow to the penis. Definitely take advantage of this limited time special offer. Receive a free treatment and a free consultation when you book today. This is a savings of $800 when you use code word TOM at TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. I wouldn't recommend a service like this unless I knew that they could help you.
Hello, I'm Brad Huckle, President and Chief Lending Officer at North American Banking Company.
And I'm Michael Bilski, CEO at North American Banking Company.
As a locally owned and operated community bank, we work with many multi-generational businesses.
Take Personal Care Dentistry of Roseville, for example. Dr. Walter Hunt, also known as Painless to Me, has been a longtime customer of the bank since we opened the bank in 1998.
When his son Kyle was ready to join the practice, they wanted to expand quickly.
With their additional space and equipment, they now are able to see more patients each day while providing the same level of care and service.
Okay, guys, I'll take it from here. If you run a family business or any kind of business for that matter, you should be banking with Brad and Mike over at North American Banking Company. Every time I deal with them or their team, I know I'm working with experienced professional bankers. So why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender. What do you think of that action? K&L Surplus and Ammo is your one-stop shop for all firearms-related products and is the preferred choice among trap enthusiasts and waterfowl hunters for over 25 years. K&L is an authorized SKB shotgun dealer with a huge selection of youth models, has a huge selection of trap loads as well. Well, fall hunting is here. Head to K&L Surplus and stock up on waterfowl loads. K&L now has a lot of the calibers that have been hard to find in stock. K&L Surplus and Ammo is veteran-owned, offers first responder and veteran discounts. Check this out. Mention this show and receive a 10% off anything on the store. Anything in the store, 10% off. K&L is also committed to safety and a licensed FFL retailer. Find out for yourself why K&L Surplus and Ammo has been the choice of gun owners for over 25 years. Go to www.klgunstore.com. Now we're talking. Ladies and gentlemen, is the lovely and talented Chris Egret. What's his name? Turgott?
Egret. He's not with us yet, unfortunately.
Well, that's stiff.
I know.
Yeah.
Is this another one of his Fargo deals where he's off, hanging around with his buddies and pretends that he can't find his way back home?
Yeah.
No, I think he's in the office. I just don't think he's joined it. He may be having some tech issues.
Yeah. Well, I think he's usually on at 8:30, isn't he?
It says here, it does say 8:30, but we always try to get him on earlier than that. So in other words, because we did the break on time, we got back too soon. I got 8 on time.
Yeah.
That's okay. So good. That's a very good point. So yeah, he's not on because we actually were on time. So I actually can talk about Brittany's favorite story, hospital worker having sex with corpses.
Please.
Yes.
You've seen the pictures. You guys seen the picture of this guy?
No, I haven't clicked on it yet.
I have, and he looks exactly like you would think he does.
Yeah, he does. He looks like somebody's uncle that's never been married. One of those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not great.
Yep. What's that face you're making? You big
clicked on it, and I imagine him having sex with corpses, and I don't know who's benefiting less.
Do you think the corpses bitch the whole time he's doing it, even though they're dead?
Yeah, they're like, I could do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Good take. A British government ordered inquiry said Tuesday it found serious failings at hospitals where an electrician, he's an electrician, who was later convicted of murder, had been able to have sex with more than 100 corpses over 15 years without being detected. Once again, isn't one of the great things about sex is when the other person responds?
Yeah,
yes.
That's nice. I like that.
Because honest to God, David Fuller's necrophilia was uncovered in 2020 when police used DNA to tie him to the 1987 slayings of two women who also discovered millions of images of sexual abuse in his home. Millions of images. How is that possible? Millions of images of sexual abuse in his home. The images included videos of him having sex with the dead bodies of women and girls in the mortuaries at 2 hospitals where he worked in the southeast of England. The offenses that David Fuller committed were truly shocking, the 308-page inquiry report said. However, the failures of management, governance, regulation, and processes, and a persistent lack of curiosity all contributed to. Persistent lack of curiosity is an odd way to put that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a really subtle way of saying.
Yeah. It's like that.
Yeah, I don't even want to. Yeah.
Right. Like, because at some point you got to go, hey, why is the electrician hanging around so much?
Correct.
Correct. None of the lights aren't working. Like, they're all up and running. It's fine.
That's weird. That's the 3rd time this week he's changed that light bulb.
There you go. A persistent lack of curiosity all contributed to the creation of the environment in which he was able to offend. This is not solely the story of a rogue electrical maintenance supervisor. David Fuller's victims and their relatives were repeatedly let down by those at all levels whose job it was to protect and care for them. That's now that's the point of the entire story.
Yeah.
If they had done their jobs, he would have never gotten away with this.
Yeah, I don't think you should have access to just dead body. Like, I don't think I should be able to walk into a morgue and be like, practice makeup on dead bodies. Like, that was just an example because I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just weird that he has access.
You ever happened upon a dead body?
I've seen dead bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of walked up on one. It's good. The one was in the parking lot of I won't say the name of the grocery store because it's not their fault, but it was an older guy that got out of his car, and as soon as he got out of his car and shut the door, he dropped dead. So then I pull up a few minutes later right behind where he's parked, and I get out of my car, and there's a dead body laying there.
Dang.
Which is really sad. I mean, guys just trying to pick up a little sandwich or something, and he croaks.
Rest in peace. I mean, that's not a bad way to go, I guess.
And the other one, I'm walking along over at Theater Worth over there by the creek, Bassett's Creek over there, and I look down the creek, and there's a dead hooker at the bottom of the creek. I knew it was a hooker only after later. I knew it was a hooker because they reported it on television. That's how I knew she was a hooker. What are you laughing at, AJ?
No, just the way you phrased that.
Well, I didn't recognize. Oh, that's that hooker that I used to. No, that's not it.
That's Jenny from the corner. I see her every night. I drive by.
Well, that's probably true.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, and I got to be honest with you. One was a woman, one was a guy, but I didn't look in the creek and go, "Say, maybe I should get down and stoop her." What do you think?
I hope not. I hope not. I'm glad that was not your first thought.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. It's not that. It was not my 1,000th thought either. It's like, oh my God! And the cops got there about 2 seconds later. Thank God. So they had already been notified of that. Because back in the day, there were no cell phones. So I mean, you couldn't just call the cops from and stand there and watch her. That just couldn't happen. But it got taken care of. Thank God. This is not solely the story of a rogue electrical maintenance supervisor. David Fuller's victims and their relatives were repeatedly let down by those at all levels. We talked about that. Fuller's 69. Get it? He's 69. That's not a coincidence. He is serving a life sentence with no chance of release after pleading guilty to 2 counts of murder. He is serving a concurrent 12-year term after admitting dozens of instances of necrophilia that the prosecutor in the case said had never been seen on the scale before in a British court. Would most of those people, I assume, be cold as ice, wouldn't they? The dead bodies?
Yeah, it can't feel good. Like, why? It's just
no.
Like why would you? And then a little lower down, it was like at least 101 girls and women aged 9 to 100. So
9 to 100.
Yeah, he was all over the place. It wasn't like he had a specific type. Just dead was his type.
Oh, you're right. Fuller committed 140 violations against the bodies of at least 101 girls and women aged 9 to 100.
Yeah.
Jesus, Palomino. And worse news than that Chris Eggert's now here. So that makes it even worse.
I didn't know it was that many people. Good Lord.
Can you believe that? Oh my God, Chris. Did you guys cover this story on the TV news?
We did not have it on the news. But oddly enough, last night around, I don't know. Let me check my phone. Somewhere around 6, 7 o'clock last night, I texted a picture of that dude and the headline to one of my best friends. And I was like, oh my God.
Now, Chris, would you say, first of all, I should introduce you. Channel 5's Chris
I
Egger.
I just texted him
Wait,
this
who's that
dude,
guy?
so-
That's
yeah,
not the
that
guy.
guy's different. There's
Oh,
more
this is
than
a different
one.
guy. This is an Arizona man accused of sexual contact with 79-year-old corpse. Says he had medical episode and fell on body.
Oh, that
No,
happens.
that's child's play compared to this guy. This guy was in British. He's British. He's from England.
Yeah.
Good
I can't
job.
talk
There you
today,
go.
and it was over 101 females from 9 years old to 100. years
Oh
old.
God.
140 violations, actually.
Oh God.
Yeah,
140 violations, women aged 9 to 100.
Oh.
You know, I'm at the bar and I'm having a drink. Let me tell you, I had sex with all of them. That's all I'm saying. Every age of every woman. Jesus, what drives you to something like that?
Your penis, Tom.
What's that?
Your penis, Tom.
Your penis would drive you right to this. Like, wait a minute, why are you popping up? There's a corpse here, and all of a sudden you have an erection. What the hell is that?
It's giving popping up a whole new meaning.
Popping up. Yeah, well, that's true. That's very true. I still have to do the introduction, though. Channel 5's Chris Eggert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute valuation, 952-925-5608. Chris Eggert, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome him by talking about guys banging dead women bodies.
I was not expecting that. I was expecting to have Judd on and be hearing some conversation about the new Wild coach and how the team seemed energized, with the new coach and whatnot. And then I heard this. So thank you for that, Tevin.
Well, actually, Phil is out of town. That's why he wasn't on today.
Aha.
So there you go. So you have to pick up the slack now that we didn't have him on. You have to do a much better job.
Well, the Wild won last night, and a kid got a hat trick, and his picture was on social media, and he looked like he was 12, and I felt like a really old man seeing that picture. He's holding all 3 pucks, and I'm like, oh my God, look at that kid. He's just a little boy. But
I know that there's no question about that. These young, and then some of them come out there, 22, 23 out of college. That's about right.
Well, and the hockey thing is such a weird thing where they can start doing some of this, like, right, AJ, like semi-pro-ish type stuff when they're really young. And
yeah, I just saw a clip actually of some 27-year-old absolutely pummeling a 17-year-old over in Czechia. But in Canada, you can start playing at like 16, and then it's the Canadian Hockey League, so the CHL. But those guys play until they're like draft eligible. So like Connor Bedard, who was the number 1 overall pick, he's playing now for the Blackhawks, and he's 18 years old.
Man,
yeah, that's crazy.
And he looks about like he's 14 years old.
Isn't that amazing that these young athletes? What wasn't Babe Ruth was very, very young when he started baseball, was he not? He was like 17 or something like that. At least that's what I've been told. So when you got that athletic ability, man, you got it.
Yeah,
no, that's true.
Could you imagine being a grown man and now you're out here and obviously Connor's very, very good. So it's like a once in a generational type talent, but you're like, I'm 30 years old. I've been, playing very well. And now I've got this 18-year-old that can't buy cigarettes. That is just absolutely making me look like a child.
Yep. Absolutely. Probably why he wanted to beat his ass,
Yep.
There's no doubt. Well, back in the days when I used to lift weights a lot, you'd get these young guys that come in. They just out of the box, hadn't even started lifting weights yet, were stronger than a son of a bitch. And that, I suppose, as the human being develops over the years of, from the Cro-Magnon to now, as the muscle development's going to be much better, brain development has not been better, unfortunately. Or maybe it's the use of the brain that hasn't developed. Do you think that's what it is?
Well, they're all zombies. They've never known anything other than a phone in front of their face their entire life.
No, it's a good point. Actually, that's a very good point. So, what was like the head news story, the lead news story this morning?
Well, the ceasefire ended overseas. Right. We were tracking that this morning. We did have an update to that explosion I told you guys about yesterday morning in South St. Paul. One person did die. Yeah. Which I think I told you that yesterday. Looking at what was left over, which wasn't much of that house. I mean, anybody who was in there, there's just no way they could have. So that, although I guess maybe it's a miracle there weren't more people that were hurt, or even some houses in the neighborhood
Yeah.
We were able to get some like eyewitness like phone video of it from neighbors, and I mean it's crazy. No cause at this point that I'm
Really?
aware of. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
unfortunate.
I'm sure they'll talk about, natural gas leak. And of course that's the
Mhm.
stuff they usually go back and look for. So, and then that, this, cantaloupe salmonella outbreak has been just in the news quite a lot. And like Minnesota, it's impacting Minnesota more than it is any of the other states, which is super weird, but I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to that at all.
Yeah, I saw somebody called us like the epicenter for cantaloupe salmonella.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
are.
super weird.
I have a question. How does it get into the cantaloupe in the first place?
I don't have an answer for that. I know that some of it has been pre-cut, but it's
okay.
also
There you go.
also whole cantaloupe. So I was going to say with the pre-cut, you could you could just kind of think about it and go, well, maybe whatever kind of equipment they're using to cut that stuff is what. But I know what normally happens with anytime there's a salmonella outbreak, like lettuce or vegetables, it's usually because the fruit on the outside was dirty with duty or something like that is what it usually comes down to.
Really? Okay.
Duty.
This is coming from Dr. Chris Eggert, epidemiologist. That's usually what I remember that there was like a romaine lettuce outbreak several years ago, and it turned out that like the water that was coming through some of the ditches that they were using to irrigate it was dirty, and I know that's how that whole thing happened. So, anyway.
God, isn't that amazing? That have you guys ever had? I have never had salmonella. You guys ever had salmonella poisoning?
No.
No.
At least you get sicker than hell, don't you?
Yeah, it doesn't sound does not sound good. Obviously, I mean, freaking 2 people died, so that's crazy.
And this is from cantaloupe.
And cantaloupe's so gross anyway.
It's not worth it. It's never worth it.
Thank
like,
you. Yes.
I could go my whole life never eating cantaloupe again and be just fine.
Yep.
Agree.
You guys, none of the 4 of you like cantaloupe.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's like something that if my mom like cut it up and put it in front of me, I'd be like fine and eat one. But like I would never out of my own accord go cut a cantaloupe and eat it.
Well, why don't you guys get off your ass and spend more than a dime per melon? You're buying the cheap stuff. That's probably what it is.
I don't even know what the market is for melons. I'll be really on. I'm going to be really vulnerable right now. I don't know what I should be paying for melons.
What can I say? I love cheap melons. So.
Oh,
hey, you should hook up with that guy. What was his name? Ken Fuller or what?
Those are very cheap.
No,
I hear there's a morgue over in England that's hiring an electrician. They have an opening for you. So.
I've never liked cantaloupe though. I don't. It tastes weird. It's not.
It's slimy and
there's just better fruit.
Yep.
Why don't you guys buy better fruit? Slimy cantaloupe ish.
It's just
I've never heard of that.
It's even good cantaloupe is like, all right, this is okay. It's like not watermelon.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend it's watermelon.
And watermelon isn't even that great.
Okay, take it easy.
Tevin, I agree with you on that, Tevin. I agree.
Get easy.
I could live the rest of my life and never taste a watermelon, and my life would be just fine.
Yeah, because watermelon looks delicious, but it never is as juicy and flavorful.
It's all mealy and crap.
Okay, now I'm with Tom. You guys need to up your grocery prices.
It's like watermelon. It can be good, but a lot of times it doesn't taste as good as it looks.
It's the La Croix water of fruit. Like you
Yes,
think it's
there
going to
we
be
go.
so much more flavor,
There
and
we
then you just
go.
bite and you're like, this is the most underwhelming thing.
Which
ever.
makes sense because both of them love La Croix.
Maybe you should not shop at like cheap shit acres.
Yeah. I'm with
Buy
Tom.
some good fruit. Spend a little money for God's sake.
There's watermelon that will like change your world when you bite into it.
I doubt it.
She's not lying, no question. So is it okay? So basically, it's apples and bananas, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's what you like.
No, I like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, mango is great.
Mango's
A
phenomenal.
peach, in my opinion, is a top 5 fruit of all time.
What about a good pear?
Pears, yep.
Yeah, I mean it's better than a cantaloupe. That's for sure.
All right, it's time to move on. People are starting to pull over on the side of the road going, what the hell are they doing?
I know.
Welcome to the food hour here on the Tom Barnard Show.
I just got a report. Wait, I just got a report from a newsroom that 3 people that purposely drove their cars into the ditch on 35W.
Yeah, see, there you go. Look what we've done. It's just horrible what we've
What
done.
else? Buck Hill's going to open today for
Oh, that's
skiing.
good.
They're
That's
supposed to decide on a Minneapolis schools superintendent by the end of the day today, too. So there's a local gal who was a daughter of a former mayor, and there's a gal from Tennessee who are the 2 people there. So
This is to be the head of all schools in Minnesota?
no, Minneapolis Public Schools.
Oh, just Minneapolis Public Schools.
Which is that's a tough job.
It's very
It's
tough.
a very tough job. There's all kinds of challenges with that district, and of course, because it's Minneapolis, there's a billion different political nuances and considerations that would have to be taken into place with that job. So, if I had to guess, I'd guess the local gal will get it, just because I think they probably understand the landscape of our community a little bit more. But maybe they want somebody from the outside to give it a fresh perspective too. Who knows?
We shall see. They never called and asked me. I could have gone over there and taken care of it.
You'd have been great at it, Tom.
I'd been, was it commissioner of schools? What's it called?
Superintendent.
Superintendent. I go with that. First of all, what's interesting as time goes forward, and this is because of digital, obviously, that no one uses cursive anymore. So most people under the age of like 25 cannot read cursive because they've never seen it. That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, they're kind of dumb though, because it's not like cursive's that different from normal writing.
Well, they don't teach it.
I know, but like you can figure it out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not their fault. They don't teach. I was not taught Chinese, so I can't.
If you're relating these 2 things, I'm going to have to just stop you right now.
I agree with Chris. It's like I don't read hieroglyphics either. Like you don't need you don't need cursive other than
I'm just saying that like
the point. The point is that's how the world has changed. I mean, I'm saying it's a good thing. So you don't need cursive. That's why we don't use it anymore. But the fact that people can't read it anymore to a person in my era is kind of weird, because you had to learn how to write and read cursive. And to this day, my handwriting sucks like you wouldn't believe. I have terrible handwriting.
Whenever I'm writing out a check for whatever reason, I put that in cursive, and you're always like,
like the 6. What does an X look like?
I just think 2-year-old wrote out the check.
I make it sing-songy, just like live my life.
Or like, what was it? Billy Madison, where he's drawing on the whiteboard and he's does the Z's just like a squiggly line.
Totally.
Right. Can't figure it out.
Totally.
Well, when I sign stuff and I do Fredericton, I do FRE and then just a long squiggle. I'm like, the person, the waiter at this restaurant is going to judge me so hard, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It's hilarious you do that, because my signature, there's a T, a squiggle, and a D. That says Tom Barnard.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, people do not use cursive other than signing for things, because you're never going to get to the point where you can use, printed text to sign something.
You'll use your eyeballs, Tom.
Use your eyeballs, man. No, we've made some advancements. There's no doubt about that. But I suppose we'll always have to sign our checks, because otherwise it'd be too easy to duplicate, I would think.
Yeah, but they don't check that. Like, you could literally put anything on that. So you could put.
That's not good news that they don't even check who signed the check.
Not true,
there was he helped with if it was a federal officer type guy that helped with the Target hack back when the red cards, and he was like solving that issue, and he was saying that you could literally write on the electric scanner, "I stole this credit card," and hit OK, and it would be like, signature accepted, congratulations with your purchase.
Jesus.
It means nothing.
That's not good. That is not good news.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Would be nice if everybody finished their job, don't you think?
Sure.
That's overrated.
So we'll keep getting people stealing our checks, and nobody checks on them. So
it's ridiculous. I had a bunch of random fraud charges pop up on our credit card the other night.
Oh, really?
And they said they were to Etsy, which I don't buy stuff on Etsy, and nobody in my family buys stuff on Etsy, which just sucks, because you look and you see all these charges, and they were big. But to call the bank and go through that process. It's like an everyday freaking thing for them to get these fraud charges. Like it's, and I think that's probably why you got like your Targets or whatever that let their guard down, because they're like, well, the banks are going to guarantee it when it gets to that level anyway, even if it is fraud. It's unfortunately become such commonplace.
Yeah, it's a whole different world. No question. I was trying to think the last time I did. I do send checks still out in the mail. See, Catherine never sends anything in the mail anymore. She pays it online always. She never, ever sends checks anymore. And I should probably get to that point, shouldn't I?
No.
Fine. Tom, how long?
Compromise your credit card numbers, Tom.
There you go.
Keep it close to the vest.
Tom, how long would you wait to report your card missing if you lost it in your life?
About 5 seconds.
Okay. Mine's 3 days because I'll eventually find it in my house usually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's happened to me before. When I was in college, I looked everywhere for my debit card. I was like, oh my gosh, I lost it. Call the bank, cancel it. It's stolen. Next day, put on some pants. There it is in my pocket.
Well, there you go.
Disaster.
weren't wearing pants the whole entire day prior.
Oh no, it was like the summer. It was like 90 degrees. I was like, I haven't worn pants in 3 weeks. Like, how did this get in here?
I know Chris has got to go here, but I will close with this, that I think it's very cool that my debit card, you pop it in, get cash once in a while, get all the rest of it. It's got a picture of Bilski on it.
Ooh, sexy.
Really?
Bilski.
He puts his, that's very cool.
No, just on mine, not on anybody else's.
Okay, I was like,
is he clothed?
Yes, he is. Oh, that's real nice.
I'm just wondering. The people want to know.
Yeah. Bilski used to like you, but after this, you're out of the mix.
Oh, Bilski loves me.
Hold on. Well, bear with me here. Bilski on the card, but then the little chip reader is like the sensor.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah, covering him up. Yep.
Oh, I get it. The sensor.
I like it.
I want that card. I will buy.
Bilski, free idea for you. You can have that one.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one, AJ.
Honest to God. Thank you, Chris.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye, Chris.
Channel 5's Chris Eggers is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. And I should mention that since I mentioned Josh Arnold, I should mention that people are loving him on the family podcast. Josh is doing a hell of a job. So we like having him, as they used to say, on board. Can I say on board?
Yeah, you can say on board.
You can say whatever you want. It's your show.
Now, how do we go from having Chris Eggert on to the pain of having Sandy on? He goes, poor Sandy.
Well, I'm going to do that because he's not in the back room yet, so to speak. He's not in the waiting area, so
you can take a shot at him.
We'll badmouth him until he shows up.
I love Sandy. His whole family's great, as a matter of fact. But Sandy's a very special kind of guy. Hey, Tom, how you doing? I'm right next to you. You don't have to yell at me. That's all I'm saying. Did you guys ever live in New York, though?
Haven't lived, but have visited.
No.
Living in New York, you have to get really used to, hey, Tommy, how you doing? I say, you're like 4 inches from me. Calm down. You don't have to project quite that much. What do you say?
I feel like I would thrive.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. I loved living in New York. I love Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chicago, New York. LA was okay. I was not a huge fan of it. I liked it, but I didn't love it.
I don't think I could live in LA.
Not now. Oh,
yeah, God. It feels like whenever you talk to anybody, everyone's trying to figure out what you do and how you can help them kind of vibe. Yeah. And if you can't, you're like out, you're an invisible. I would be an invisible person.
Yeah. I understand. No question about it. All right, we'll take that break because we've got Mr. who grew up in New Jersey, by the way, Sandy.
Ooh.
That's why he's got that brilliant cadence in his speech. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The over-projecting cadence of the, hey, Tom, how you doing? That kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's like it's the staff sergeant.
Exactly.
A drill sergeant. You know what I mean? All right, we do have to take a break. We'll be right back. Sandy will join us right after this. I am so happy to welcome back our longtime friends, Sabre Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, to the show. I've known Steve, the owner, for many, many years. I completely trust Sabre to keep my house comfortable. Why? Sabre does everything the right way, and they always put the customer first. I love the team at Sabre because their service experts are experienced NATE certified technicians, not salespeople. Their pricing is completely upfront, and they fix only what needs to be fixed, nothing more. Sabre is dedicated to giving customers what they need when they need it at the fair price, keeping your family safe and comfortable without breaking the bank. Give Sabre Heating and Air Conditioning a try. I know they'll take care of you just like they've taken care of me and my family, of course. Whether you need a new Bryant furnace or air conditioner replaced or just simply need a service call to get you going again, go to saberheating.com. That's SABRE heating.com. Sabre and Bryant, whatever it takes. Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to know a guy for your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. The same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your financial situation. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions, and Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor, call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That is 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security and investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. I'm Tom Barnard, and I'm a paid endorser. I will do that. I'll get it done, no question. Listen to that kind of poppy music and all the rest of it. And I don't know why I did this, but I just sat down last night. Catherine was out running around, and I watched an hour show about the life and death of George Michael. It's so sad. That guy, there was a guy extremely handsome, tremendously talented, very, very wealthy. And he basically, they say he killed himself. He was only 53 years old when he died. Did you guys ever follow that story at all, George Michael?
A little bit. Was it he was gay or somebody in his group?
He was gay,
yeah. And who was the other guy that he performed with or was in his little group?
God, I can't even remember that.
But yeah, I thought it was 2 of them that were kind of a tandem. And yeah, he was gay and got a bunch of backlash because he was good looking, so all the women loved him, but then he was gay.
Right. Ended up dead at 53. I mean, again, you're very handsome, got a great singing voice, got a great personality. You've got tons of money. You have everything. And just before he did kill himself, he had put on like over 100 pounds. So, I mean, he was trying to kill himself for a long time. It sure looked like. Isn't that sad, though, that you achieved everything in your life, but something about your past just wouldn't let you enjoy that? Isn't that sad?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think you're thinking of Andrew Ridgeley, the other member of Wham.
There we go. Wham. Yeah.
Exclamation point.
No question about it. Yeah, I mean, look, we're still blessed. We have so many great people in our lives, like, Bob Sansevier, people like that. Bob Sansevier Sports is brought to you by Bielke Law Firm. Heard at work, Dave Bielke goes to work for you, taking care of your worker comp injury claims and denials. Call 763-571-2410 or go to BIALKElaw.com. Tell them Bob and Tom sent you. So, Sandy.
Oh, yeah. I have got no more of that New Jersey thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, Sandy, I wanted to mention this to you. Nice Italian boy like you.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we didn't do this, but we never watched the 4th season until now of Fargo. It is phenomenal. And I don't know why, because season 5's out now, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you now, every season is different characters, right? So I can just start watching season 5 and not feel I missed anything.
No, I think that's very, very true. And
good.
what's his name is what's the guy's name?
John Hamm.
John Hamm. Yeah, he's terrific anyway. But seriously, the acting, the writing, because it's basically a black gang and an Italian gang, and they're arguing over new territory. It's fascinating. It's very well done.
So I may have to watch season 4.
Oh, Bob, it's really good. I never watched it. I don't know why I skipped it either, but we started watching it. We've watched a couple episodes. Chris Rock is incredibly good in it.
He's in it. Ooh.
Yeah, he's in it. No question.
Is he one of the Italians or?
Yes, that's exactly right. Chris Rocchetti is his name actually in the show.
Yeah,
but
he could play anybody.
But the greatest thing about it is the exchanges between the Italians and the other Italians, their family, other families. The exchanges are hilarious, but you're going to love it.
A little bit of Sopranos feel to it.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Takes place, I believe, in Kansas City, I think is where they are. But it's just, I would highly recommend it. Don't know why I didn't watch it in the first place, because I watched 1, 2, and 3, but 4 is really good.
How do you get Fargo out of Kansas City?
Well, good question.
I don't understand that.
But they did a good job. But yeah, if you got a chance, I mean, it's not for the kids. Don't get me wrong.
That hell with the kids.
Brittany, got to tell you, one of the strongest characters in it is a nurse. And I'm not really giving anything away by telling you this up front, because you just seen it coming from miles away.
Yeah.
She's this highly regarded nurse. She's wonderful. Turns out she's killed about 3 people.
Oh, okay. Actually, that does sound really good.
Oh, you know what? I was just in room 7. He's dead now. I just checked him. He's not.
Don't even go in there. We'll send the electrician.
She's bumping people off left and right. Unbelievable. She looks like June Cleaver. That's the other best part of it.
Oh, dang.
Beaver.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean he's dead? He had a broken leg. He wasn't even...
Exactly. I said what I said.
Well, she actually, I'll give you a quick tip because this won't ruin anything. She actually kills the head of the mafia in Kansas City. She smothers him.
This sounds really good.
Now Bob's got a. Oh, Brittany, I think you'd love it. It's really good. Very well. Well, the Coen brothers write good stuff. There's no question about that.
This is true.
All right, Sandy, let me hand it off to the nice Italian boy now on the show.
Well, what I want to talk about some of the teams in town, but before we do that, what was the New York discussion? I came in late. Just a quick thing. Just curious.
Were we talking about New York?
Oh, yeah. So I was just saying about the accents and the projection in their voices.
See, I have a blending because I grew up at the Jersey Shore for most of my life, and I have a blend of Philadelphia and New York. As a matter of fact, Philly was closer to where we lived than New York was, even though I was born in northern New Jersey.
I love that whole area anyway, Bob. You can go. I still have not been to the 3 upper states. I've never been to Maine, New Hampshire, or Vermont, and I got to get up there. I've never been up there, and heard it's beautiful.
And a lot of trees.
Okay, well,
Tommy, you probably don't recall, but remember when I flew with you to Kansas City because I had free miles and we went to have lunch at one of the barbecue places?
Yes, sir.
I looked out the window, saw nothing but forest, and I said, Tom, we're infested with forestation.
Yes, you did. Absolutely.
That's what those 3 states are. Nothing but forests.
I used to have a travel down there all the time. It's called Arthur Bryant's. I don't even know if it's still around. I hope it's still around because it's the best barbecue I've ever had. But that quick story, I ordered a large order of ribs, some fries on the side, and they put it on a tray. They don't even put it on a plate. They put paper on a tray and then put it on the paper. I brought it back, and of course it was empty. And the 2 young men behind the counter, both of them African-American, one turned to the other and said, and I won't say completely what he said. He looked at his other buddy and said, I told you that Big N could eat. Okay, well, thank you for inviting me into the club, sir. I really appreciate it.
Now, was it Arthur Bryant or the other one that had an institute in the parking lot? They had a barbecue institute?
Yes, they did. Oh, is that Gates Barbecue?
Gates.
It was Gates. Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. I love Kansas City. What Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. I don't care. It's the same town anyway, right?
Yeah, can't go wrong.
So, Sandy, what else?
Well, your Timberwolves, Tom, and we don't talk a lot about them, but an interesting statistic in their 34-year history prior to this year, they were, did you hear the stat already? They were in first place 10 days, right? 34 years. They've been in first place now this year alone for 10 days in the Western Conference. Then they kicked ass last night without Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns. He stepped up, 32 points, had double-digit rebounds, but he needs, and I think he's starting to understand his role. When Edwards is there, he's complimentary. When he's not, that's when he turns his game up and could be the standout player. He needed to understand his role, and I think he's figuring it out or figured it out. And Rudy Gobert has become the player that they hoped he would be when they traded for him.
Yeah, no, so, what's interesting about that?
Be interesting. What's that?
What's interesting about that for me, because, Tevin's been talking a lot about it. He's a big fan and all the rest of it. AJ, I think you're a big Timberwolves fan too, are you not? More hockey than basketball, but
yeah, I lean more towards hockey. But when the Timberwolves are good, it's once in a blue moon. So I'm riding the wave with Tevin as much as possible here.
And what's so interesting is, and I haven't watched a Timberwolves game in a million years, and I still know every player's name. That's a pretty damn big roster when people don't even pay attention to sport, know who you are. That's some big names on that team, right?
It's a good team. Now, Tevin, were either of you born, you and AJ, when this team started?
When did they start?
35 years ago?
89 was, I think, their first season.
Nope, I was not around. Because that's when they played in the Metrodome for a year or something like that. Right?
The first year.
I wasn't around then.
That was terrible, by the way. It was just horrible watching them play in that building. Hey, look, they won 2 World Series in there, so I loved the place, but it was a horrible stadium.
Lost a few NFC championship games, one in particular in there.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Thanks for bringing that up.
No problem.
No, I think that's rather important that you know the names of the players you've never even watched. So those are some big names, if you ask me.
Yeah, we're a star-studded team. Karl Anthony Towns, former number 1 overall pick, Anthony Edwards, former number 1 overall pick. And we've got, supporting cast of, Jaden McDaniels that is great. Rudy Gobert, one of the best defenders in the league. And they're really the same team, more or less, from last year. It's just now they're all coming together, gelling, and this is hopefully going to be a very, very good season.
Nobody's punching cement walls out of frustration.
That's good.
Yeah.
How did you know I did that yesterday?
It feels like they've grown up a little bit.
Yeah, the maturity. Mike Conley, I think, from my understanding, is brought that maturity level that maybe Pat Bev was a big leadership role type of guy, but with him being gone, Mike Conley has come in and he's more of a calm leader, mature leader, and I think that's what you need for a guy like Anthony Edwards.
Yep. Beverly struck me as a showboat.
Yeah, he was a wild card. He was the type of guy that, he was just going to start a bunch of stuff and just be a lunatic out there, whereas Mike Conley is like, all right, guys, everybody act like a professional. It feels like he's teaching them how to be a professional basketball player and not just run around like crazy.
Well, for the sake of all you Wolves fans, let's hope they don't have the fate of the Vikings. Have the great regular season, playoffs come around, get bumped in the first round.
Well, there is that. There's always been that, Bob, since the time I was 9 years old. It's always been that way. What are you going to do? But I find it fascinating. Who put together that team? Those are a lot of big names on that team. Who put that team together?
Well, I think aside from who put it together, it's really interesting that when the team goes from Glenn Taylor to A-Rod and his partner, suddenly the team has gotten better. It's almost like you had to remove Glenn Taylor for the team to be successful.
Well, you might be right about that, Bob.
And I believe Glenn Taylor's still around. He's an owner, but he's not the primary owner now. They became primary owners this year. Yeah, and then Tim Conley is the GM for the Wolves. That's kind of been putting the pieces in place. And some of the players were there before he got here, but him and now Chris Finch, the head coach, have kind of started to make it work.
And last year, I thought they should have dumped Finch, so I was wrong on that one. Then again, I was wrong on picking the Vikings to win. So I'm like, whatever I say, go the other way. I did not see them. I didn't see them having a horrible job of coaching by their head coach. I didn't anticipate that. That's probably, you know what his problem is? He's trying to make Joshua Dobbs fit into his system instead of tailoring the offense so that it suits Dobbs's skill set. That's why he was so successful in the first 2 games. He didn't know the plays and he was freelancing. Now he has to, be put into the box and perform like Cousins and, it's a bad way to go. It was a poorly coached team on Monday night.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, losing to a team that, well, where were they at the time? Like 3-6, the Bears.
They were just miserable. That team that's no business. I mean, they couldn't score a touchdown late. I mean, they knew they weren't going to score a touchdown, but when they got the ball back after Justin Fields fumbled for the second time, you play to get the field goal at least. And I don't know what he was thinking. And then Brian Flores, your defensive coordinator, he blitzes more than 50% of the time. He didn't blitz on that final drive for the Bears. Mm-hmm. It really is it's a head scratcher.
Yeah, like I said, I got very lucky because I decided not to even watch that game, and I'm really glad I didn't because I would have been very pissed off watching them lose. The Bears are terrible.
Yep,
I don't get it.
Remains to be seen what the Vikings will do with Justin Jefferson back, and if he goes with Dobbs to see if Dobbs can play, how he plays with Jefferson, goes to Jaron Hall. He was effusive in his praise of Nick Mullins the other day. So I wouldn't be surprised if he threw him in there.
You can't.
Yeah, possibility.
I hope they don't because there's no future.
No, there isn't. Go with Jaron Hall if you're not going to go with Dobbs.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So I put a poll out on X/Twitter. And I gave the options coming out of the bye who should start for the Vikings. Jaron Hall was an option. Joshua Dobbs was an option. And Nick Mullins. And there was a fourth option, but Jaron Hall by over 50% of the vote. Third was Josh Dobbs. Fourth by fractional was Mullins. Second place was some guy off the street. So people would rather have that than now. People turned in a hurry on the Pastronaut.
Tevin, you're free next Sunday, right?
Yeah, my arm isn't great. They should, but I'll strap up the helmet and slang it a little bit.
All right, I'm going to pretend I'm an older who died at 100 sports reporter. Bring back Tommy Kramer. Be unbelievable. Tommy's still around. I just ran into him.
Yeah, I tell you what, I bet he could still throw it. Put it this way, he won't. He's the kind of quarterback that Kevin O'Connell likes because he doesn't have mobility. He'll just stay in the pocket. He ain't moving out of that pocket.
Yeah, that's true. How about Fran Tarkenton? Can you get him to come back? He's still alive, isn't he?
He's spry.
You probably have to go out there and put the ball in their hands and help them move their arm to throw it. But technically, yes, they can come out
that's true.
Hey, Tommy's arm is just fine. It goes fine.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Bob.
What?
You're mean.
Oh, I got my elbows bugging me.
That was so great.
So
great that I ran.
Good. You ran into him where?
I just ran into him at XL Energy Center. Gave me a big hug. It was just because Tommy and I didn't always get along that well.
He's a great guy.
He's a wonderful guy. Tommy Kramer is a great guy. There's no doubt about that. Anyway,
and his pal Buddy Becker. I mean, they're both good guys. And actually, everybody from that era, I can't. Other than Chris Carter, there is not a single Viking or former Viking I could say was not a good guy. Carter was the only ass in the bunch.
Yeah, he was not a good person.
No. And that's the persona that he had. He tried to make it that everyone thought he was great, but teammates to a man, except for Jake Reed, hated him.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Jake Reed did like him. And Jake Reed, by the way, was a really nice guy.
Yes. They either hated him or thought he was the biggest ass they'd ever met.
Well, there you go.
So,
all right. So what else you got going on in sports, Danny?
Now, this is for AJ. John Hines, not the radio guy, the new coach of the Wild, he's got him on a 2-game win streak since he took over. And I like this guy because I saw a video of him from his first practice. He might curse more than Jerry Burns did.
Bob,
every other word out of his mouth was a curse word.
Love it.
I have bad news for you.
What?
That was a repurposed video of Mike Yo, the old Wild coach.
Well, that wasn't him. They said it was Hines.
No, they have the same bald head. They have the same stature.
Oh my God!
Yep. You've been.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
I was duped.
Wait a minute, Bob. I just brought this up yesterday, and they did say that it was Hines. Remember, I brought this up, and you said no, that wasn't Hines. They did say it was, though. So I saw the same video you did, Bob.
Who said? Well, it was put up by a guy from KSTP. Doogie put it up.
Yeah, there you go. So he was wrong.
Are you sure, AJ?
I'm pretty sure because what I saw was from the account Mini Hockey tweeted it out, and it was like live footage of John Hines' first practice with the Wild.
I'm going with Doogie.
Mike Russo of The Athletic quoted and said, when I first saw this, it gave me a laugh, but a lot of people are thinking that this is true. It's actually from Mike Yo back in 2016.
Doogie.
Okay,
He's not going to screw that up. He said I got footage from the first practice, unless it was a joke and he didn't let anyone in on it. I hope the guy curses a lot.
It's
I'd be very
possible
disappointed if he doesn't.
Very possible.
No, yeah, but when have you ever been wrong?
About 5 minutes ago.
Oh,
it's a very frequent occurrence for me. But yeah, I'm liking the Wild. It's funny in the NHL how firing your coach makes a lot of the guys that were slacking be like, oh God, I probably should step my game up, and then they start playing a little bit better. So naturally, that's how it works.
Kaprizov has been hurt, but he had a good game last night too, right? He had a goal and an assist, at 6-1 again. I will say this: the Nashville Predators, that is a classy organization. That's where he had been a coach before for parts of 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
In the third period, they put up like a video tribute to him of when he was their coach. What team does it? It's a nice thing to do for a guy you fired.
I mean, granted, I think the Wild did that with Bruce Boudreau his first time back when he was with the Canucks after they let him go and had Dean Evison take over that
team? The Wild and the Predators.
Yeah,
NHL tradition.
Yeah, it's a fun game. Judd actually plays it where it's like, does this guy get a video tribute from the Wild? Because they throw him out like it's candy. It's crazy.
It's out of control. And even in other sports, like basketball is another one where some guy will be there long enough to drink a cup of coffee, and then the next time he's in town, it's this mashup of every layup he ever made. And they didn't win a championship, but we're just happy that he used to wear our uniform.
The best one I've seen recently is last season. Jonathan Quick was traded from the Kings in LA to Columbus for all of 5 minutes before being traded to Vegas, but just because of like a
Columbus had a video tribute to him.
They had a video of they had an intern tweet like, hey, we've traded for Jonathan Quick. And then they just panned him on the bench. It's like, thanks for all the time, John. Appreciate you. You're a legend.
Well, I still think the Predators didn't have to do it. They did it. So good for them.
Yeah.
And
indeed.
Now I mentioned the Vikings. Let me ask you guys and Brittany. It's really 2 answers to the question: who should be the starting quarterback, and who do you think the starting quarterback will wind up being because it's Kevin O'Connell's choice? I would just go with Jaron Hall, and if he can't do it, get the hook and put Dobbs back in, because you got to find out what the kid could do.
Yeah, I think it should be. I think it will be Jaron Hall, and I think you just let him ride out the rest of the season because you can't keep going back and forth. The reason you would put Mullins in is if we had won the last 2 games and we're fighting for, we think we can really do something in the playoffs. But I think you roll the dice with Jaron Hall and you figure out, because Mullins isn't the future, Dobbs isn't the future. So you're trying to figure out if Hall can do it. And then when Cousins comes back healthy, we either get him or we're trying to find a new quarterback.
Get a new quarterback. You got to re-sign Daniil Hunter. You got to re-sign Darisaw. You got to get a deal for Justin Jefferson. You don't have the money for Kirk Cousins. And you know what? You were brought in here to be the quarterback, savior, or the quarterback whisperer, Kevin O'Connell. Develop a guy. Yeah. That's what your job is. And the guy that I think they would be very happy and should be if they get J.J. McCarthy. This kid from Michigan, he's got a winning pedigree, and the kid can sling it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great pick for them.
Yeah. This is a very strong draft class, whether
for quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks, so whether you're saying McCarthy, the kid from Duke, Leonard, he's been looking pretty good.
You got Penix, there's a number, Bo Nix,
Williams, but those guys are going to go high, but in that middle round area, hopefully, or middle of the first round area, hopefully we can, which was likely where we're going to be drafting. Hopefully we can. Yes.
Well, we'll see. You still got to get past the the Packers are right on your heels for for the playoffs, and I don't know if the Seahawks are done. Yeah.
Packers are terrible.
Well, look at your Vikings.
Oh, we're not good either.
I know. It's just the way it is. There's no question. All right, Sandy.
Have a great weekend. Yeah, have a good weekend there, and I'm going to watch. Here's my tough decision. You give me the finger there, Brittany?
No, I was giving you thumbs up.
Oh, okay. My big decision is, then you would know all the fingers. My big decision is, do I watch season 5 of Fargo or just go with season 4 and then go to 5? 5 is not over yet, though, right? They don't.
No,
do they
5 is still putting them out weekly for 5.
Maybe I'll go with 4 then.
I'm telling you, Bob, you got to go with 4 and then go to 5, because I can't wait to watch the John Hamm version either. But this season 4 so far, only 2 in, but it's pretty damn. What do they do? Like 8, 10
I have
episodes?
no
You know
idea.
how many
I've never
episodes
watched
they do? Nah, that doesn't matter. But yeah, really, really good. And then the John Hamm one should look pretty good too. But we will talk to you next week.
I live for those moments.
Thank you, Sandy. Bob Sansevier Sports is brought to you by Bielke Law Firm. Heard at work. Dave Bielke goes to work for you, taking care of your work comp injury claims and denials, of course. All you have to do is call 763-571-2410 or go to BIALKElaw.com. Tell them Bob and Tom sent you. We shall take a break. Be right back. Oh, Bernie is going to join us. Did you book him, Brittany?
No.
No, I did.
Oh, you did. He's going to be a great guest. You guys, you remember Love Boat, don't you? I mean, it's still on, actually.
The Vikings Love Boat?
That's a different Love Boat. There's no doubt about that. That would be your different Love Boat, ladies and gentlemen. Do you remember the Love Boat, Brittany? The Minnesota Love Boat?
I only know it like referenced, you know what I mean? Like I've looked into that now, but I never watched it.
Wait.
No, we were talking about the Minnesota Love Boat.
Oh yeah, actually the guy who the main Love Boat guy lived in our backyard. Brian
McKinney?
No,
Fred Smoot.
Which one?
Fred Smoot.
Yep, Fred Smoot.
Really?
Yeah, he lived. His house went right up to ours. I mean, we didn't live here at the time when he lived here, but they always talk. The neighbors, the Hellers, always talk about how crazy his backyard was because it goes right up to ours.
You ever hear your neighbors go, God, we got rid of Smoot, now we got Brittany.
And my same amount of caliber of parties. Yeah. I go hard.
There you go. We got to take a break. Be right back. Bernie Capel will join us right after this. You have all helped support MyPillow and their employees in these tough economic times. Mike Lindell knows this and continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows, the original My Slippers, and the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. The set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Regular price is $79.98. For a limited time, you can get this 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That's a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM, and save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set. This deal will not last long. Enter promo code TOM for this special and many more. You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy. For your second home in Florida, Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristen Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristen, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That's onekeywest.com. Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129. And don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month. So call them right now, 9520-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, 0resminnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. 0res. Yeah, you should. Absolutely. No question about it. Let me know when Mr. Capel is ready to go.
We're
If
all
you
set.
would. Oh, we're all set to go?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, our almost completely true love story will be available on December 8th, 2023 on major streaming platforms, including Amazon Instant, Apple TV, Vimeo, Google Play, Vudu, Hoopla, as well as most cable providers across the United States and Canada. Please welcome our very special guest, Mr. Bernie Capel. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing so well. I'm so grateful for my life. How old am I? What did I say there? It's 90.
Well,
I'm 90. Holy mackerel.
well, there's nothing wrong with being 90 years old. Bernie, I got to tell you something up front. You and I are connected, and you don't even know this because I've never told you this before. Even though I've talked to you before and you've always done a great interview, I'll only take about 30 seconds here. My name is Tom Barnard, but it's spelled B-A-R-N-A-R-D.
I love your last name.
Thank you, sir. Well, I moved to New York in 1978 or 9, something like that. And so everybody shortened my name from Barnard to Bernie. It wasn't Barney, it was Bernie. They called me Bernie. And then about 2 weeks into that, Mr. Capel, my name was just Capel. So I went from Tom Barnard to Bernie Capel to just Capel.
There
So
you go.
I used your name for a long time. So how have you been, sir?
I've been so fine. I've loved doggies. I've got 3 doggies now. I just got a little puppy. Ever since I was a kid, I've been nuts about dogs. And
He's a wonderful. Yeah, we have.
God knows what. The puppy is a mutt, but very, very smart.
No
She
question.
loves to have her belly rubbed.
The almost completely true story is based on the courtship, relationship, and marriage of Marriott Hartley, Ride the High Country, Incredible Hulk TV series, and her husband, actor-producer Jerry Soroka. From Godspell, their screenplay tells the slightly fictionalized details of their later-in-life romance and marriage. Well, that's very sweet.
It is very sweet, and I've known Marriott since the early '60s, and we worked together, and they're neighbors of mine. They live just a few blocks away from me in Tarzana, and we see each other all the time. But Marriott is just with that cello-like voice and a wonderful actress, and she did a one-woman show not too far away from here.
Well, that's a wonderful. Mr. Capel, did you, when you started on, the Love Boat, so was it 1976, I guess you got the job, 77 is the first season. Did you guys ever see it coming, how big that show was huge?
It still is. That's
Yeah.
the amazing thing about it. Dickie Van Patten was the original doctor on Love Boat. Oh, by the way, we got the worst review. It's going to sink like the Titanic. This is what the ungenerous reviewer of the LA Times wrote. So, but we've been going on for 13 years. 13 years, and we changed the way that people take cruises. You pack and unpack once, and the world comes to you. And
Do you think
it's so easy, so easy? And I was in the Navy before Love Boat.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was on the Iowa, the beautiful battleship USS Iowa. I was drafted, and I went all over the world in peacetime between the Korean situation and Vietnam.
God, well, thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. That's phenomenal.
Oh, they made me, because of my background at NYU, they made me a librarian, believe it or not. So I read my face off on the Iowa. And then, 30 years later, I got the Love Boat. because Dickie Van Patten was under contract to ABC, and they moved him into 8 is Enough, and it opened it up for people to audition. So I auditioned with a whole bunch of other people, and I got it. Yippee! I got it. And I'm still very much involved with the Princess. Matter of fact, my wife and I are taking a cruise in a couple of weeks.
Oh, congratulations.
One ship, thank you. One ship is named after, I'm the godfather of the Regal Princess. So I love those ships. Love those ships.
Bernie, do you think that show, The Love Boat, was so popular because for a lot of people, including the poorest of the poor, could watch that show and kind of feel what it was like to be on a cruise ship? A lot of people have never gotten that opportunity.
Well, we taught the world how to cruise. Before Love Boat, people would just, the ships would go out half full, a third full. Mm-hmm. And pay a ton of money, and now it's very reasonable, and the world just comes to you. And food, when I entertain on the ship, the first thing I ask people is, are you getting enough to eat? Of course, you have the buffet all day long. You have all kinds of different food, or if you want to go to the specialty restaurants. Anyway, coming back to our show here, our almost completely true love story. I saw the film, and it was great fun. And they used my tennis court for a little piece of it. And it was always being with wonderful actors and actresses, but especially Mariette. Mariette is a darling lady who I loved for so long, and always great to be with her.
It's a wonderful thing. Our almost completely true love story will be available on December 8th, 2023 on major streaming platforms, including Amazon Instant, Apple TV, Vimeo, Google Play, Vudu, and Hoopla, as well as most cable providers across the United States and Canada. Mr. Capel, even though I stole your name when I lived in New York, well, I didn't steal it. They gave it to me, but I've always been a big fan, and I appreciate the time you spent with us this morning, sir.
Well, Bernie, a pleasure to talk to you. A pleasure to be with you, kiddo.
Thank you, sir. Come back soon. Have a great day.
Thank you. All the best.
Bye. Bernie Capel, that guy, what a nice man. I've interviewed him over the years many, many, many times. And, so we're disconnected, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
It makes me a little sad because he sounds a lot older than even the last time I talked to him just a couple of years ago. But what did he say? He was 90 now.
Yeah.
90.
Yeah.
Very sweet guy. He's always been a very, very nice guy. Very smart man, by the way. He's a highly intelligent guy. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know he had that service back in the Vietnam era he was talking about, pretty much.
Yep.
And then getting a puppy right now, that's
puppy.
Pretty crazy.
Oh, well-behaved puppy because at 90 years old, trying to pace around a little energetic puppy.
Oh, I'm like debating if I can ever get a puppy again. Like I might always just adopt like 2-year-old dogs, like a puppy. That's impressive.
That's a really good point, actually. It's like, I'm 90. I think I'll get a new puppy. You're expected to live, about another 10 years? Because dogs usually live about 10, 11, 12 years, most of them, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like my grandma doesn't have any dogs right now, and that she doesn't want to get any dogs because of that. Mm-hmm. But I just want to be like, get a dog because I'll take someone will take it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't. It'd be hard to just live without a dog when you've had a dog your whole life.
And would there be anything more adorable than like Bernie and his little puppy at a dog park as he's trying to run and corral it? Yeah.
See, that's what I love about that's a great take because that's what it is. You see Bernie Capel walking his little puppy. He's 90 years old. The dog's about 6 months old. That's why I love having guests on. I don't care if we've had guests as young as I think 7. This kid was walking in a park and he found this massive amount of money. He was a 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was a bank robbery or what the hell it was. But so I've interviewed people from 7 years old and to 100 years old, actually. I think Sid, the last time I interviewed him was I think it was 98, the last time I talked to Sid on the show. But see, I love that. I like talking to all generations. This generational divide that everybody loves to talk about and all the rest of it, I don't really feel that at all. I don't really give a rat's ass how young or how old you are. You're an interesting person, right?
Right. The only person I don't like talking to is Brad Blanks.
I agree. Brad Blanks is horrible to talk to. I don't know what the. Okay, now here we go. He's got the headphones. He's on the show.
Professional.
We're never going to let you. You got to come on at least once a month, man. You
yes.
can't be.
No, Tom. I know, and I profusely apologize.
Your fault.
I've been I blame that actors' strike. Like I've been down in the dumps, and I can't do what I'm born to do, which is shove a microphone in an actor's face and try to get a rise, something interesting, trying to make them more entertaining. Hollywood should hire me.
They should. Brad Blanks, ladies and gentlemen. We just yesterday listened to the Brad Blanks standing up, talking to a couple of Hollywood stars, Jennifer Aniston and Adam.
What a year. What a year. It's amazing that you can do something in 2011 and in 2023, in some ways it's helped my career in a weird way.
That was that long ago.
Madness. Oh, you had that interview like the day after I did it. And you know what I mean? And little did we know it had turned into this mess. And you were onto it early because you did see it, as you're sitting there, trying to get yourself to sleep, with insomnia, or you're watching that True TV show that Funniest Moments or something like that, and they had the clip that they paid me a paltry $500 for, and then proceeded to repeat that television show like 10,000 times. Anyway,
$500, huh?
That clip, Brad, I feel like every 2 weeks it's in my algorithm somewhere.
It's broken the algorithm, right?
Yeah, and your description gets funnier and funnier. It's like large Aussie scare celeb, or like it's just.
Well, it's really nice. Obviously no one attributes it to me, but I don't get beat up ever. But in the comments, I have friends that I swear, people I haven't known for 30 years from college, write in the comments, "That's Brad Blanks. You should attribute him." Like, the really nice people are sticking up for me out there. And
I love it.
And a lot of lovely Minnesotans are like, "That's Brad Blanks. He's been on with Tom. He was on KQ for 20 years. You've got to say who he is." To like this, to like a site like Puberty on Instagram that has like 30 million followers that no one's reading the comments and feeling sorry for me. But I'm just happy that my big fat head is getting some acclaim. And there was all I think what's the word of the year? Authentic. There was some authenticity in my my ending in that video. I was actually very sad, and I knew it was a great bit, but I also I knew, oh shit, I'm getting abused again for being a big tall bastard. You know what I mean? Or getting in the way, so that was great. It's been a great year in watching that unfold.
Because how tall are you, Brad?
I'm 6'5", but look, I poured some gravy on the chicken in that bit. I knew as I was I'd practiced that maneuver a few times on a few red carpets where I actually interviewed previously Oliver Stone on my knees in a media scrum, and I found it quite enjoyable from a comedy perspective. And then and I did it to Bradley Cooper as well, and he asked, "What am I doing down there?" But nothing like what happened with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston, because when I stood up, I always loved those shows from those black and white Dracula movies from the 50s or the 60s. And I loved how Dracula would rise. Remember he would just rise slowly. I said, I'm going to do that. And I rose so slowly for them, but consistently. And as I was doing it, I'm going, if the camera catches this is going to be hilarious, because it was a consistent rise that didn't stop. And I went on my tippy toes, but you can't see my toes. I've got a media scrum around me. So I went to about 6'8". And as I was going up, when I actually got my eye level to about the 6 foot thing, I went, holy crap, I'm a full foot taller than Sandler and Aniston here. And I just kept on going, and I'm towering over them. If I had fallen on Aniston, I would have killed her. Like
that blows my mind because I just would have assumed based off of his reaction that you were 7 feet tall.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, but the craziness about that, it was a lot of people say in the comments that it takes them back to him as Happy Gilmore, and of course, and they started saying one character, and I had to go back and check Happy Gilmore again, and it was the Jaws character from James Bond that I somehow resembled, and it's when Shooter McGavin turns around and sees Jaws overlooking him, and a lot of people say that was the similar look to what Sandler had. So Ricky Gervais has a fascination with my round head, and Sandler had a fascination with my height and monstrosity, I guess, of a human. Yeah.
But it does show you how clever that Adam Sandler is, because you were in a thatched hut interviewing them, right. And he looked up at the thatched roof and said, "Put your hat on and get out of here."
Yeah, it was brilliant. An amazing line. And you got to remember, Tom, I'm a one-man operation, and my cameramen are usually like a mate of mine who I buy a beer for afterwards, who's an accountant, right? So we're not running a professional gig over here in the Brad Blanks world. But so my cameraman, if you catch that, he perfectly panned up. And it's like the most perfect pan for a payoff of a joke. Like, he goes, "Put your hat on and get out of there." And then the camera just goes up to the actual tiki. I'm like, when you rewatch that, it's like, it's perfect filmmaking there from this guy that's never held a camera in his life, So,
11 years ago that was already. That's amazing. That time went by very quickly.
So I'm discovering this whole viral game. I know Brittany's a guru on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm just trying to feed this algorithm beast. And I've had the weirdest thing. More people have seen me this year. Obviously, a lot of people listened to me for 20 years with yourself, Tom, and on the Scott and Todd show on PLJ. I was on every day there, a part of the show, and then I went to Scott Shannon at CBS for 9 years. But I've had more feedback from a visual point of view this year, and it's bizarre that Harrison Ford video I didn't think would work. I put that up, and that was from like 2000 and maybe even 2010, where he just goes silent on me for a good 15 awkward seconds, and
he does that.
And
he does
and,
that.
And people seem to enjoy that, and people were angry with me in that because they thought I was being a bastard to Han Solo or Indiana Jones. It's good when you divide the crowd. I'd just trying to be just a decent human, but people really love their movie stars.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because have you ever interviewed Joaquin Phoenix? He's got Napoleon out now. It's doing very well, but I heard he's a bitch to interview.
Yeah, I'd love to interview him. I watched that documentary he made. That's got to be about 12 years ago. And I watched it really hard to try and figure it out, because it's, he was crossing over into the world I do and back and forward, and it all culminated in that Dave Letterman interview, where Dave Letterman didn't know that it was a bit, and Letterman, like any good radio host or TV host should do, is, this is my show. I control the bits, not you. And I think Letterman was very upset with what Joaquin had come on and turned that into his own performance art. So when you find out, I think Joaquin's come out and said the whole documentary was a scam, or was acting. None of it was a doco. But I'd still love to interview. You'd hope that he would get it, because the best part about interviewing these people is when they get that they are in my bit. You know what I mean? Like, or they know what I'm about. I'm not there trying to, a guy again last night who doesn't know me. "Oh, so you're a journalist?" I said, "I'm not a journalist. If people think I'm a journalist, God bless you." Because, and I like that I'm speaking normally and slow, and I sound like a hard-hitting journalist as I speak now, but I'm a fool. I'm trying to take, there's many, and as you know, Tom, there's been many incarnations of what my performances are. And, some, if I might get serious at some stage to try and get more out of it, but I'm always trying to go for the joke or make the person I'm interviewing funny. My interviews live or die by the fact that they're entertaining and hopefully funny, and if I'm not being funny, I hope they are. So, I've got to keep underlining that fact that I'm out there trying to create bits. And Joaquin Phoenix, to get back to him, he'd be if he was on to party. Oh, geez, we could make something good together. Yeah,
but he won't do it, will he? He just won't do
he
that.
Won't. That's right. No. Well, it's funny. The review. I'd love to know what your reviewers, your film reviewers that come on your show say about the movie, because the early reviews I see that haven't been that thrilling on him. They say it's a great, great battle scenes, but other than that, it's not that fantastic.
Yeah, he doesn't put a lot of emotion into it, from what I hear. I've not seen it yet, but I hear he's just not very emotional in it, which is a little odd. He's Napoleon, for Christ's sake,
right?
You know?
Yes. Yeah. I saw that leave the world behind yesterday, and the Julia Roberts, and look, the people are going to like it. Some people may love it. I didn't love it only because it's that Sam Esmail, who I love. He created Mr. Robot, and the first 2 seasons of Mr. Robot I loved, and that just, he went so much into the conspiracy theory rabbit hole in that show. By the end of it, I don't even think he knew what was going on in Mr. Robot, because I definitely didn't as a fan of that show. And I'm watching this show going, I hope he can get me back on track, because I do love his writing and directing, and I love sort of that, the world controlled by 10 men and villains, and I'm watching it, and I'm just getting I'm got that same feeling where I'm not fulfilled. I think I've got to an age in my life where I still want my movies with a bit of a bow tie, all wrapped up nicely at the end, and this movie doesn't do that for me. So and it's interesting to see Julia Roberts on screen. There's a few cool moments there, where a little moment where there's a pretty woman moment in it, and there's some goofy dancing from her, but and she's still great to look at, and it takes me back to my wet dream days. I think I had my first wet dream over Julia Roberts.
God.
It was a big, it was a big moment, Brittany. She's my era, Julia
Good
Roberts.
to know. Good to know.
Don't worry, I didn't walk out onto the country streets and try and take down a prostitute.
Good.
In the hope of finding my
Well, you were already finished, so I don't know why you'd even venture out.
I did it. But that pretty woman really, geez, that movie really got me going. I think I tried to get girls, in the equivalent of my prom that night, try to entice them with strawberries and champagne, and that didn't work. But Julia Roberts was again. We had a good time with her, Tom, didn't we? When I was on your show back in the days.
Oh, no question.
She would not talk to me as I stood outside her Broadway show for 3 weeks, and every time I put the microphone under her mouth, she would purse her lips and start talking to other people. Because on the first night I was there, on her opening night, I recited lines from all of her movies. There were 200 people out there. Most of them were from the Midwest, on those traveling theatre Broadway groups, all young theatre students. And I would yell out to her as she came out, "I'm just a boy standing in front of a girl asking her to love him." And I was yelling at them, and the crowd of Broadway theatre students from Omaha were in fits of laughter and absolutely loved it. Until the following night, her number one security bodyguard, movie star bodyguard in the world, he's this massive black dude, super slick, took me down an alleyway just off Broadway around the corner. Ooh. And I said, I'm going to get beaten up here, but if he beats me up, this is going to be solid gold radio tomorrow morning. Anyway, he started doing he was negotiating with me. It was like a movie. Like, he had all these techniques. He knew my name. He knew everything about me. I'm like, this is pretty cool what he's doing, but please hit me. This is going to be great radio if you hit me. And when you're just ready to take the punch, or so you put me up against the wall, and he starts saying, "You cannot yell at a woman like that. She's a mother. You were yelling things out to her that were very disturbing." I'm like, dude, I was reciting lines from all of her movies. Are you an idiot? That's when I went, this is better than him hitting me. Julia Roberts and the guy did not have any clue of what I was yelling out. And if Julia was, smart, she would have had a laugh and enjoyed that. Maybe said a line back to me. Anyway, the following day, I'm back out there again, and she's not talking to me. Every time she walks out of the theater after her performance, a police officer, NYPD, there's cops everywhere down there. They sort of patrol the Broadway streets, and he takes me for a walk down an alleyway. I'm like, jeez, I'm in trouble. Now I've got a police officer. The police officer goes, "Oh, Blanksy," and I'm like, "Great, he knows my name, which is good." But he called me Blanksy instead of Brad. He goes, "Blanksy, oh, we're loving hearing about this on the radio. We all the guys at the precinct think this is hilarious. The fact that you called him a Whack and Hut security guard this morning." Oh, so we've nicknamed him Whack and Hut as well. So they sit there calling Whack. I didn't even know what Whack and Hut was, but apparently it's like a mall cop. Is a Whack and Hut a mall cop or something?
I think that's right.
Anyway, Whack and Hut firm or whatever. So they started calling the #1 Hollywood bodyguard in the world Whack and Hut for the whole Broadway run of Julia Roberts' performances there at Broadway. Anyway, her show came out. Like that was for the preview runs, and her show came out like 3 weeks later. And it was the one that Oprah produced it. Bradley Cooper was in it and Paul Rudd before they really took off. And 3 Days of Rain, it was called. And on opening night, the New York Times panned it. So I think I got the last laugh for Julia. Not talking to me. But I still love her, and she's my first sexual moment that I didn't have to really do anything.
Oh, boy, look at the time. We have to go.
Sorry. Sorry, Tom.
Brad, we got to have you back all the time. It's got to be just like
coming back on. I will come back on next week. Yes, and I've got to get some interviews, and I'll find some more movies that I can talk about. Not give a review, just give my take and see if I, offended their star at one stage of my career. Yeah.
Let me ask you this in closing. I am very, very concerned that movie theaters are they in big trouble, Brad?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. And I know you're a movie lover, and I'm a movie lover. Yep. And I just go. I don't know. I pee a lot, so I have troubles going to the bathroom. Once. But anyway. So I'm like, how are movies going to keep working? And I've seen 2 movies this week, and I swear I haven't seen 2 movies in 3 months. But I went and sat in a theater and saw them. So I love the moment, but it's getting harder and harder. Like films that. Like a comedy, sadly, that I don't have to see, I'll wait till it streams now. Like a big movie comedy, like Dumb Money, the Wall Street movie Dumb Money. I watched it online. I wait. I said, I'm not going to pay the $20 to see it in the theater. I'll wait till. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of people are going through that.
No question. We watched Genie, which is in the theaters. The new movie that's out right now, Christmas movie called Genie. We watched it on television. I would have loved to go and see that in the theater, but it's right here. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sure.
All right, you pill. It's great having you back, man.
Well, great. Well, thanks, mate. Thank you. Yeah, great to see everyone. Great crew. Well done, Tom. We've got lots to talk about. Next week, I'll tell you about my trip to Australia that I just did.
I want to hear it. The caravan park.
Yeah. My dad sells caravans. #1 seller. He's 80 years old and still selling. Anyway.
I love it. Thanks, Brad.
See you, mate. Bye-bye.
Great talking to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been working with Brad Blanks for 20-some years. He said 20 years. I think it's a little even more than that, but just a lovely guy. And I love closing with the story that he said, Tom, do me a favor. Drive me through your old neighborhood. I want to see it. That's a terrible impression. I do understand.
That's pretty good.
But he got in the car. I put the top down on the Mustang. We're driving down Plymouth Avenue. He's looking, and there's a drug deal going down this alley. There's another drug deal over here. There's a fight up over here. We get to the light, and 4 people walk over to the car to tell me what a nice car it is, but they're coming at us. And he goes, Tom, get me out of here.
I just wish he would wake up a little bit and have some energy in the morning.
Come on. He is my favorite person. I love him. Anytime you're with him, he's like that 100%. That's not put on. That is him 1,000%.
I know. It's a great point, Brittany, because he is such a nice man, sweetheart of a guy, loves doing the show. So thank you so much, Tevin, for going after him. And he's going to be on a lot, and I cannot wait because he is absolutely terrific. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a time slot that works every week.
Yeah.
And
absolutely love it. We got to take a break. Timmy Lammers will join us right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live on the Tom Barnard Show app or at tombarnardshow.com.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Recently, Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC was contacted by a company that does on-site sales. Jim was confused.
Wait, they don't know anything about us, our staff, our reputation, most importantly, our customers.
Hey, pal, no problem. We do them all over the country. You know, get the manager off the roof sale, inflatable gorilla sale, and our favorite, the 13-hour sale with a giant clock that goes to 13. Urgency, baby. We bring our crew because, well, your people are, let's just say, a little laid back.
And the pricing?
Nothing special, sport.
But Jim thought, we price competitively every day. Our prices are special. We definitely don't need these guys. But sale does convey some urgency, so we made a bold decision for his fine dealerships.
Announcing the Valley Buick GMC 365-day sale. And we can even extend it a couple years or so.
I got the air dancer guy, scratch-offs, plastic keys, bubble machine.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley or Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Hurry.
You need to know a guy for your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. The same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust, who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your financial situation. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions, and Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor and call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That is 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did. And tell him his guy, Tom, sent you.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. Tom Barnard is a paid endorser.
Oh, my God, they must let anybody in through that door. I come back, there's Brittany, there's me, there's Andy, there's Tevin. Then there's Officer Dave and Tim Lammers. Really?
Yeah. I came in through another door, though, not the studio door.
Different. The portal. You came in through a portal. That's
I
the deal.
came in through the bathroom window.
Oh, I love that song. To this day, I love that song.
Came in through the bathroom window.
But Joe Cocker's version was phenomenal. Yeah. Oh, God, I love Joe Cocker. He was phenomenal. And by the way, I love John Belushi's impression of Joe Cocker just as much. It was incredibly good.
I believe, high with a little help from my friends.
Yep, absolutely. Tim Lammers brought to you by Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury lawyer seeking justice for the injured. Contact Bradshaw and Bryant at minnesotapersonalinjury.com, minnesotapersonalinjury.com. There's a lot of pressure on you two because like the first couple of hours of the show have been fantastic. So just don't F it up. That's all we're saying.
I will try not to. I heard you talking about when I came in backstage, talking about Brad Blanks, right?
Yeah, Brad was on.
You know, it's so funny. During the whole time that I was on with you in that other show, I only talked with him one time. We were only on the air at the same time one time, and it was such a blast. And there have been several times, actually, where we've talked to each other on social media. But you're right. What a great guy. What a great guy. Oh, my God.
I mean, he's as good as it gets. He used to come to all of our appearances in Vegas and all that stuff. Then down in Key West, he would come to those. He's just a really, really nice man.
Yeah, well, that's terrific. And I heard you, hopefully, you're going to be on more often then, right?
Tevin says he might probably fit him in every week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how often he wants to be on or can be on. We'll get him on more often.
Well,
I love it.
Hopefully, at one point, I can be on a couple minutes with him because it was so much fun talking with him. Like I say, the only one time. Not that I'm trying to invite myself, but it's a guy like Brad, man. You wanna touch bases often as you can. So, got a really feel great movie this week.
Ooh.
A movie that was released at a very odd time, considering I consider it a Christmas time movie, definitely a holiday movie. It's called The Holdovers, and I believe it came out in limited release in early October, and then it just kind of escalated from there. It built, kind of a platform release, and really didn't do big business, but finally. It's available on premium video on demand this week, and you can still get it in theaters. It stars a terrific actor, Paul Giamatti. You got to love Paul Giamatti, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. He's terrific. You guys like him?
Yeah. He was, what's the one big movie, or not just the one big movie, but he was in Big Fat Liar is the one that I always associate with him.
Yeah, and then he was in Sideways, which he was robbed of an Oscar nomination really for that picture. And that was almost 20 years ago. But I was laughing. I was thinking about how he played, and you might know the real guy, Tom. I think Lastman definitely does. Pig Vomit in that Howard Stern movie, Private Parts.
Yes, sir.
Do you know Pig Vomit?
Yep.
Did Giamatti do the role justice?
Yeah. Never mind. What else can you say about Pig Vomit? That's his name. Right?
Well, yeah. So you got to play an actor who is so sleazy. And Giamatti, man, he could be so damn funny. In this particular case, The Holdovers is like a comedy drama. He plays this pretentious a-hole teacher at this prep school in New England. It's 1970. And it definitely, the film has this 1970 feel. That's what I really loved about it. He's got this cranky demeanor. He sort of draws the short straw to be the teacher that needs to stay with the students who don't have anywhere to go home for Christmas for 2 weeks.
Sure.
And those students are known as the holdovers. Well, there's a deal where 4 of the 5 end up going to one of the kids' house, one of the students' houses. So they're out of the loop. So you have Giamatti's character, you have the student played by this wonderful newcomer named Dominic Sessa, and then you have the cook who purposefully stays there, obviously to work, but she lost a child in Vietnam. Her name is Mary Lamb, played by Divine Joy Randolph, who is a terrific actor. Only Murders in the Building, she played a kick-ass detective.
Oh,
yeah, and she was also in the very funny Eddie Murphy movie Dolomite. She was Lady Reed.
God, Dolomite.
Oh my God, she is so good. She's so damn. Well, she's funny. It's one of these films that's funny and tragic. So anyway, you have these 3 people that are all experiencing emptiness because the kid that's staying at school is there because his mom says, I got a new husband this year and we haven't had a honeymoon yet. So if you don't mind, you're going to have to stay at school for Christmas while we go on our honeymoon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's just, you feel horrible for him, but there's something deeper going on. He has a father that he's mourning, so it's got a lot of stuff that will make you feel sad, but Giamatti can be so damn funny. Divine Joy Randolph, despite her character's circumstances, is so funny. And this kid, again, where did he come from? It's his first film. Dominic Sessa, he's I don't know, I'd imagine he's in his early 20s, but he's playing like an 18-year-old. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of these deals where you got 3 people that become essentially this makeshift family over the holidays, and they give each other hope and light. So, I don't understand the release patterns of some of these movies. You can still see it in theaters. I think it's an appropriate time to see it in theaters, but maybe the whole idea was, you know what, let's release it on premium video on demand just before the holidays. So if people want to pay $20 instead of going to see it in the theater, they can sit as a family at home and watch this wonderful, wonderful movie.
See, that's a huge problem for the movie theaters because you have to be around people you don't know. They don't behave. They are going to have to get Faraday cages. Your phone has to go in the Faraday cage. You cannot bring it in the theater.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, again, the thing with screenings for me has always been turn in your phone. The media folks are allowed to keep their phones, and some of them still pull it out. They shouldn't be doing that, but they still do. But anybody caught looking at their phone in an advanced screening, they're out of there.
Well, that's what Kristen brought up yesterday. Those, what were they called? Paisano pouches or whatever the hell.
Oh yeah, my friend works for that company for putting your phones in these lock pouches.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They prevent the phone from working, and once you snap the pouch shut, you can't reopen it without like waving it over a base. So the base would be outside of the theater.
Oh.
You'd have to put your phone in the pouch.
Yonder.
Yonder pouch. There you go. You put your phone in the Yonder pouch, you snap it shut, you go into the movie, and you cannot open it until you leave the movie. And I think that would be perfect, I think.
That would be such of a great, of course, unfortunately, maybe they could strike a deal with the company, but, obviously that's just another investment that some theaters, quite honestly, can't afford to make.
Right. Yeah. And then if you do that too, now you have the same people that are complaining about people using their phones are now complaining about, well, every 5 minutes, these people are all getting up and going out to unlock their phone, come back in, and that's distracting. So I don't know that there's really a winning situation.
It also takes honesty, right? Like, oh, I didn't bring my phone. Oh, okay. So it's like anybody who really wants to go with the workaround. It's not like we're going to search people. Like, let me look in all your orifices for phones.
Well, thanks for that visual.
Well, I will say though that some of the screenings I've been at, they've wanded people. They can detect them. But again, if they put them in a particular, I don't want to repeat the word. It even sounds gross the way you said it, Brittany.
Yeah, but also, Tim, I don't know if maybe it's your theaters you're going to. Most of the theaters I go to, there's barely anybody working there besides concessions. Like, so you're going to have a whole human wanding people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I mean, I'm only talking about, even at the advanced screenings, they're relying on the honor system to a certain degree. But yes, there are still people who are going to want to sneak them in, so they still want them, and they'll find out. Again, if you don't want to go that far, how many theaters can afford an usher to watch for that light, or some jacket?
Totally.
And but the other thing is that you can just leave and tell somebody, and then they'll come in and possibly get into a confrontation. Yeah, so it's a tough deal, but I mean, so fortunately, I mean, you can rent these movies a lot earlier than you used to be able to. And in this particular case, getting back to the holdovers, I think it's definitely. I mean, yes, I screened it for free. I got a screening link, but I think it would be worth it in this case.
Now, Timmy, I have to ask you: do they still do in theater screeners, or are they all sent to you now?
Well, in theaters, yes, they do screenings. At this point of the year, and you probably know, as a SAG-AFTRA member, you get screeners for consideration for awards. I get them now for Broadcast Film Critics Choice Association I belong to. So I get a lot more of them sent to me now, so I don't have to go outside in the cold. Well, been kind of nice out in December here in Minnesota, but or November / happy December today. So yeah, I do get a lot more sent to me around award season.
They obviously still don't do screeners where the Skyway Theater used to be. They had that beautiful screening room. You remember that?
Yeah, Michelle Mann, when she was on a few weeks back, I asked her about that screening room. What a cool deal that was back in the day. That
my
was
favorite
fun.
of all time. We went in and saw the movie Halloween Part 3, which was horrendously bad. And I'll never forget this. One guy's from New York, had a bunch of theaters, so they screened Halloween Part 3. as we're walking out, he's walking in front of us. He says to his buddy, Jesus Christ, I sure as F hope that's Halloween part last.
And of course, it went on for 4 or 5 more movies, and Rob Zombie
yeah.
a couple, and then they remade them again. So we're up to like Halloween part 13 right now.
What a great that was, though, just to go to you'd go to that theater, then you go across the street and go to one of the great restaurants. Man, downtown used to be so wonderful. I hope it gets back to it.
Yeah, I think Dinopoly was pretty close, right?
Oh, yeah, right, about a block away.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's the big offering this week in theater. It's weird because we're in award season, but you do have off weeks where there's no big releases, and this happens to be one of them. But again, the timing is perfect for the holdovers. Highly recommend it. Actually, one of my favorite movies of the year, to be honest. It's a really great movie. Now, quickly on FX on Hulu, and I'm hoping, Officer Dave, you're interested in this or have seen previous seasons or the original movie Fargo.
I saw the original movie. I haven't seen any of the previous seasons.
No, I haven't seen them all, but for some reason I started watching season 5 because it's an anthology series. So each year is a different case.
Yeah.
Supposedly real case, but they're not. But it's set in Minnesota. John Hamm is actually a North Dakota county sheriff that has ties to a woman in Minnesota with a past. This one feels the most like the original Fargo movie.
Yeah.
And the previous seasons. The plot, there's a lot of similarities. We have a car dealer in there like Jerry Lundegaard, William Macy in that original film.
Yeah.
You have a kidnapping of the wife. And law enforcement is involved as well. Because we had Marge,
right?
the great Frances McDormand in that first film.
Oh, she's magnificent.
Honestly, Officer Dave, check this one out, man.
Do they do that ridiculous accent, over the top accent?
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Look, the first time that my wife and I saw the original Fargo movie, we thought, no way, come on, man, they're laying it on way too thick. We go to a local establishment, and don't you know, and he was wailing on the guy, and yeah. It's like, oh my God, we are in.
I couldn't get past the I know people that talk like that, but it's just like, God, I don't want to see it in a movie too.
Yeah. You know what though, this film or this series again, it is just so damn good. I asked my 2 of my kids, I said, have you ever seen the original Fargo movie? So we watched that one, those 2 for the first time, me for, I don't know, maybe the 3rd time or 4th time or whatever. And it is a brilliant movie. I mean, the Coen brothers are quirky. We know all that sort of stuff.
They're great though. They're really good.
They are really good. And this series nails it. But yeah, Juno Temple is the Minnesota wife that, and you betcha. Now they do all that kind of stuff, that sing-songy Minnesota thing. So yeah, I think they're still laying it on too thick, but the writing is so good. The storytelling, the acting, everything is so damn good. John Hamm it's a very quirky role for him. But it's really, really well done. So yeah, Fargo season 5. Again, don't feel the need like, oh, I got to watch 1 through 4 to get into this, because they're all separate stories. So yeah, really terrific stuff.
But I will tell you, Tim, by coincidence, I just started watching season 4. We're two episodes in. It's phenomenal.
Is that with Chris Rock? See, I didn't see that one.
Yep.
And that's
fantastic in it.
I think is that set in Kansas City?
Kansas City, yep. That's exactly right.
Yeah, because for the most part, these are set either in Minnesota, North Dakota, or basically the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I know the first season was Billy Bob Thornton, and I maybe watched the first episode of that. And again, like Officer Dave was saying, when they're laying it on too thick, it's like, come on, you're just Hollywood people doing that.
But I got to argue your point, and Tevin, I think you and I have talked about this because you went up there to play football, correct?
Yep.
I could not, when I went up to KNOX in Grand Forks, North Dakota, I could not understand what the hell they were saying. But now I'm out of North Minneapolis, so that's not even like Minnesota anyway.
Yeah.
And then I had to cross another line to get to North Dakota. But I literally go, oh, yeah, I talked to a guy yesterday. I'm like, what the hell are they? I could not understand them.
Yeah.
Kevin, you went through the same thing, correct?
Yeah, for me, whether it's Wisconsin, Minnesota, or North Dakota South, it all is the same. People like it's all about, oh yeah, don't you know? And we were up at the Horgity Burgity.
One quick story, and then I got to go. But you know,
you
because
can't.
We're all, yeah, I know. We're all talking to each other, and maybe we don't realize that we have those accents.
Oh my
you get a guy like Mark Steven Johnson, who did the Grumpy Old Men movies. He wrote those. Moved out to LA, you know, he did Daredevil and Ghost Rider and all, you know, director living out there. And I did a phone interview with him. I had actually met him once before, but I did a phone interview with him. And I say, hey, you know, Mark Tim Lammers, we talked one time before, and he says, oh yeah, you're from Minnesota. I said, well, how do you know that? He said, the way you said Mark.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm. There are certain words that I catch myself saying. I'm like, wow, that sounded really Minnesotan.
How do you say Mark wrong? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I don't get it.
Mark.
Hey,
Mark.
As
Oh,
opposed
hey,
to
Mark.
Mark.
Of course, then you got the other, the what's the guy's name? Oh, hey, Mark, that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
The room.
It's bullshit. I did not hit her.
I did not hit her. Oh, hi, Mark.
Which
That
is
was
another,
movie called?
another great movie, by the way.
Yeah, The Room. That's what it was.
The Room.
The Room. But, Franco did a movie about making The Room. Where he played the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's Melissa's least favorite movie we've ever watched.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
I think it's supposed to be.
Well, that's the thing. It's definitely supposed to be stupid. Quick before you go, have you heard anything about the new Godzilla movie?
Godzilla 1, I know I have not. There is a series, though, on Apple TV Plus called Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, which is also, that actually takes place in the Monsterverse, you know, like the previous Kong versus Godzilla films and all that. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
That is great. But I haven't seen Godzilla 1 yet, though, but apparently it's out there.
Isn't it Godzilla -1?
Something like that. There's
yes,
a one
Godzilla
involved in the title.
-1, whatever that means.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll try to find it for you, Andy. All right, I got to run. Have a great week, everybody.
Timmy Lammers, sponsored by Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury lawyers. Tim Lammers coming on with us. We don't want to take our break yet, so we can kind of close in on. So what'd you think of the report?
I think it was good. I think it was funny when Officer Dave talked about the Minnesota accent because he has the most Minnesota accent I've ever heard. So I literally was sitting here going, are you kidding me right now?
That was my first thought, but I was like, he's in here. He's bigger than I am. I'm gonna let him.
Yeah, I'm an Eden Prairie. Plus, I feel like I could outrun him.
I think you probably could, yeah.
We've all got it to some extent.
Of course we do. I think it's charming. Like, we all need a shtick. And like,
there are certain things, yeah.
Really?
Well, I didn't think I had any Minnesotan accent at all until probably like 5 or 6 years ago. I remember we very briefly floated the idea of doing a reality show based on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a like an interview with a TV company, and they were all like, "Oh, you know, tell me about yourself. What do you like to do?" That sort of thing. And I remember during that interview, I was like, "I need to stop saying because I've said it like 12 times in the past 3 minutes, and that's a very Minnesota thing, is saying all the time." It's
I should mention this to you, Andy. You're not going to like this, but they actually did offer us a series on A&E, and the management at that other place said no. Thank you.
A couple phone calls, Tom. We can fire that back up.
Oh my God.
Get the cameras down there and follow you and Catherine around.
I wouldn't doubt that A&E would probably put this on television. It'd be a lot more interesting than most of the crap that's on TV now.
Oh, yeah, better than watching the selling insert city here, Real Housewives or whatever.
Do you want me to gain 500 pounds so it's more intriguing than A&E?
My 600-pound Brittany.
Andy, what a ring to that. Oh.
It's quite the ring, no doubt about it. That sounded really good.
I have been in showbiz for a long time.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we were offered a national TV show, and the assholes that owned the place, the radio station, said, no, you can't do it. I will never forget that. I've been held back by a few Minnesotans, I got to be honest with you. But such is life.
I'm sure Kristen's got some contacts. We'll talk to her in the next segment. And tell her
Kristen Burt
on the horn. Yeah.
Why don't we do that? We'll take a break. Be right back. Kristen Burt will join us right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live at tombernardshow.com or on the Tom Barnard Show app.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, zero resified, starting at $129. And don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month. So call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet. I'm so happy to welcome back our longtime friend, Sabre Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, to the show. I've known Steve, the owner, for many years, and I completely trust Sabre to keep my house comfortable. Why? Sabre does everything the right way, and they always put the customer first. I love the team at Sabre because their service experts are experienced NATE certified technicians, not salespeople. Their pricing is completely upfront, and they fix only what needs to be fixed, nothing more. Sabre is dedicated to giving customers what they need, when they need it, at the fair price, keeping your family safe and comfortable without breaking the bank. Give Sabre Heating and Air Conditioning a try. I know they'll take care of you just like they've taken care of me and my family. Whether you need a new Bryant furnace or air conditioner replaced, or just simply need a service call to get you going again, go to saberheating.com. That's SABRE heating.com. Sabre and Bryant, whatever it takes.
Tom Barnard is back. Every weekday, you'll hear Tommy B, Brittany Arneson. Yes, that Brittany Arneson. Along with Tom's pals, Kent Herbeck on Fridays, Bob Sansevier, Mike Stretch Gelfand, Tim Lammers, and from Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Chris Eggert and Kristen Burt on entertainment and pop culture. It's Tom and the crew with opinions on news, opinions on life, opinions on entertainment, and of course, opinions on other people's stupid opinions. The Tom Barnard Show is a podcast, so you can listen when you want to listen. In the car, on the way to or from work, at home, on the job site, or wherever you need your Tommy B Show fix. Hear the show on the Tom Barnard Show app in your app store, as a podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, or see it on YouTube on the Tom Barnard Show channel.
I got to be honest with you. I'm almost certain there's no such translation as indecision de molesta.
Oh, I hear that every time, and I go, what parts of whose language are they channeling on that?
That's exactly right there.
Let's look this up, actually. What are they trying to say?
Are they speaking Spanish?
Yeah, well, no molestar is like to not bother.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that it is. Esta indecisión me molesta. This indecision's bugging me.
Well, so they had it wrong.
Well,
after all this time.
Yeah, there you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Burt Entertainment News is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Kristen Burt, what the hell's going on?
Happy Friday, everyone.
Now, is this the first time you've been on with Officer Dave?
No, don't you remember my mom flirting with Officer Dave?
Oh, that's right. I
was
forgot.
So awkward.
My mom has a thing for Officer
Kristen's
Dave.
stepdad was like a foot away, and we're like, oh no.
Almost had a throwdown happening. Like Grammy's like, hello, Officer Dave.
Oh my God. So what's happening, sister?
A lot of things. There's a lot of good things happening this weekend. I'm sure you talked about some of the movies and the TV shows and stuff with Tim Lammers, but I was like, Tom's going to be so happy. He's got tons of new things coming his way.
Really? Like things you think I'd like, though?
Yeah, I didn't get to hear Tim's segment. Did he talk about May December on Netflix?
Nope.
No.
Oh, he didn't. Okay. So May December is out today on Netflix, starring Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman, great actors. And it is loosely based, and this is going to be a callback from a few weeks ago. It is loosely based on the Mary Kay Letourneau story, where she was the teacher who, and you can't even say had an affair, because honestly, it was child sexual abuse, but
grooming,
and then wound up marrying her student. It's very loosely based on that. So it's not like a biodoc on this or any that type of thing, or a biopic. But I think like what you will see is that Natalie Portman comes, she plays an actress who's doing a film about this particular story. And she goes to sort of like interview and get a feel for Julianne Moore and the person whom she's married to, who was formerly her student. And it causes total chaos in their family, sort of reliving all the trauma of reliving what they went through. Really well done. It's excellent. It's going to be one of those Oscar runs all the way through March. So check it out on Netflix.
All right. So 2 questions for you. The kid was 15, wasn't he? I think.
No, it started when he was, I believe, 12. He was very young. Very young.
Well, let's see. She was, let's see. When did this start? I'll figure it out.
Well, while he's looking it
Yep,
up,
12 years
she
old.
died, didn't she was 12.
Yeah,
She's
she
dead
was
now.
12. Yes, she passed away from cancer.
Yeah.
And but they did get married. They got divorced, but they still lived together up until her death. And I believe their daughters are now adults. They're probably somewhere in their 20s.
You know, my favorite thing about that is I was at a friend's house and his mother said, "Oh, it looks like somebody finally paid for their crimes." He died of cancer. It's like, okay. But, you know, mothers are going to feel that way. It's just how it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I'm not a very harsh person about death, but there's something to be said about a child molester dying.
Yep.
Well, not to
Karma
mention
never forgets an address. That's always my phrase.
she also got a slap on the wrist for it. So
Yeah,
there's
that's-
that too.
There's that.
She did, you know, and if you go back, I mean, it's astonishing to look back on it. Like we're in 2023 and you look back on it and you realize she went to jail after, you know, raping this child and having a child with him. When she got out, she immediately violated her parole and was back with him and got pregnant almost instantaneously again.
Okay.
So,
Like,
it's awful.
Kristen, let's ignore the sexual attraction. Let's pretend like that would be an option for us, right? I barely want to live with a 40-year-old man. Like, what in God's name would you living with a teenager by choice?
Yeah.
Well, and that speaks
Teenagers
to
are
the
awful.
mental health aspect, obviously, of this situation too.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have a description of, or a guess, I should say, is a better way to put it, why people get that? Why would a woman of that age even be attracted to a 12-year-old?
I don't know the mental health implications. I would love to know if there was also abuse in her history. That oftentimes
sure.
there's cyclical situations here.
Yep.
Of course, not every person who was abused goes on to become an abuser. We gotta like throw that disclaimer out there, but that would be one thing I would just like look back on just to see if that was a situation that happened in her family. But exactly, you know, as an adult, it's just, you know, I even remember, you know, being like 28, 29 and like a 22-year-old would come up to you at a bar and you're like, you know what I mean? And there's not that great an age difference. Everyone's an adult, but I'm like, I don't want to date like a guy that's in college.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, there is this. It's not quite the same, but in 1973, her 3-year-old brother drowned in their pool while she was in it.
Oh.
She was playing in the shallow end and her brother drowned in the deep end. She didn't even notice until it was too late.
So that's some family trauma.
Probably messed her up a bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you would think that maybe over the years she felt she had to be punished because she didn't notice in time to save him. So maybe that's what it is. She committed crimes because she thought she should go to jail.
Well, and obviously, and think about this. Like if something happened in your family today in 2023, hopefully people feel comfortable enough to go and seek therapy, any type of mental health assistance you might need if you go through a trauma. Remember, even 10 years ago, there was, and there still is a stigma today, but there was even more of a stigma 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd still send them to the shrink. Do they even say shrink anymore?
No.
Head shrinker. That's what that meant. They called psychiatrists shrinks because they shrunk your head. I guess. I don't know what the hell that is. But
focused on your problems.
Yeah, man, exactly. It is very, very sad. You look at, obviously, the trauma that she went through, and I'm not forgiving what she did, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if that did drive her to try to protect a young boy. And by having a romantic relationship, maybe she, in her own screwed up head, thought she was protecting him. Who knows?
And remember, she was married at the time and also had kids from her marriage. So there's, I mean, tons of trauma that went out with this one situation.
So are all the movies today that sad?
No, you can watch Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy and
There
Tracy
you
Ellis
go.
Ross.
So what's that all about?
Candy canes?
And no, it's if anyone lives in one of those neighborhoods where you have to go like super crazy with your decorations and everyone competes to have the best display, it's that situation, but it has a little bit of a spin to it because basically Eddie Murphy sells his soul to like an evil elf to have like the best candy cane display. It's actually a very, I know it sounds crazy and stupid, but if you're looking for just something light and fun and a good family movie, that's it.
I didn't know there were evil elves.
There can be an evil elf, yes.
I didn't know that. I had
Elves
no
are
idea.
actually traditionally considered evil.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're mischievous.
So this was just smaller people then. They thought they called them elves, but they were just small people.
No, I mean, I'm talking about literal like magic elves that
like
magic
steal
elves.
your children and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
And
get it.
also, you guys can watch my TV show. It is out officially. I can talk about
What?
it. It came out last
I wanna
night.
hear
I
it.
meant to mention it yesterday and I forgot. I did a show that's produced by Ryan Reynolds, his Maximum Effort channel, and it's called Discontinued. It's hosted by Bruce Campbell. I'm one of the pop culture experts, experts in air quotes. And I just talk about things that have been discontinued. So one of my first segments ran last night. And I talked about the Nickelodeon game show, which Tom, I know you didn't watch, but it's Legend of Hidden Temple. So if anyone watched that in the 90s.
Barracudas.
They're bringing back. They're bringing back Olmec.
Yeah, Olmec. We talk about Olmec in the segment, but it's like comedians, pop culture experts. We just talk about things. I think last night's episode also featured discussions about Furbies and Palm Pilots and things like that. So,
Tom.
So it'll be a weekly show. New episodes come out on Thursdays, and you can find it. Now, here's the thing. This is an easier way to find it. It's produced by Fubo TV and Maximum Effort channel. But all you need to do is go to Tubi and go to the Maximum Effort channel on Tubi, and it's right there for free. So you just have to see the schedule when it runs. But
Don't have to go to World because I like Bruce Campbell too. I think he's really good.
he's very charming. He hosts like all of the intro and outro segments, and he's a delight. I didn't get to work with him, unfortunately, because my segments were taped separately, but he does a really good job. I got to see the whole thing together because there's like 3 different parts. There's like Bruce Campbell's section, and then they have 2 comedians who kind of do man on the street interviews, and then there's us who do the actual segments in the studio about the discontinued items. I've got another segment I know coming up about American Gladiators.
Oh,
yeah. So, but I wasn't sure if I made the cut or not, too. That was the other thing. They didn't give me a preview copy, so I'm like watching, and I'm like, did I make the cut, or did they just like go, you stunk, and threw me away? But I made it.
so you did make it.
I did make the cut. Yes, I'm officially in there.
Now, Tevin, you kind of flinched when she said American Gladiators. Were you hoping to get on the show?
Oh no! I mean, it was kind of coming to an end as I was starting to get older and watching TV, and they just had it's called Muscle Mayhem or something like that on Netflix.
Oh,
documentary about American
Great
Gladiators.
documentary on
And to
Netflix.
see what they went through,
They got hammered. I saw that.
yeah, because you see the show and you're like, oh, it looks fun. You're playing these games, and behind the scenes, like they're all just getting maimed, and it's terrible. Yeah.
I'm actually convinced that particular segment for American Gladiators made it in because of Netflix's documentary Muscle Mayhem, because right around when I taped it is right around when that docuseries came out on Netflix. And they were like, here's your segment. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just watched this docuseries. So everything was really fresh in my mind, but it was a well done docuseries. And I love just seeing them on tour and how they were all hooking up together. And plus like just the mind, I mean, it was just so crazy for them to have to keep their bodies in shape at all times, but at the same time, their safety wasn't taken care of at all on set. It's nuts.
Yeah, and they like didn't get paid hardly anything. Yeah, it was all
nothing. And they were superstars. I mean, without them, there was no show.
Yeah.
You know what I got to do is that next time the whole family's all together, I want to put on your show and then look at it and do what I've always done. I'll look at it and go, oh, who the hell is this now? I love doing that to people.
That girl's annoying.
So you come up, where in the credits do you come up?
It was the third segment. It's a 30-minute show, and it was the third out of 4 segments. So
okay, but is your name at the top of the list when they give the credits?
Yeah, executive producer Kristen.
Yeah.
No, I'm just I don't even, I didn't even look because they gave like crazy names to everyone. Like some people would be like pop culture enthusiast, other people would be like historian. I didn't even see what they gave me as a credit, so I'll have to go back and look.
3rd season, and the show's called what again?
Discontinued.
Discontinued.
And the show hasn't been seen in a while, so this is kind of like the revival of Discontinued. For a while, it was on the CW. I think 2018, 2019. It went dark during the pandemic, and now it is back with because of Ryan Reynolds. He brought it back. And Brian Volk-Weiss is the director, and a lot of you may have seen some of his other shows. He did like The Toys That Made Us and The Movies That Made Us on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Same idea, same vein, same sort of like fun pop culture type of segments.
So now that you know him and worked with him, should I move my phone to Mint Mobile?
Unfortunately, Ryan was also not on set because he's executive producer, so he just does like the paper pushing behind the scenes.
Boy, I tell you one thing about him. I've never met him, never even talked to him, but that boy is smart with how he spends his money. He's very
so smart. I interviewed him years ago for a press junket, and as an actor, he's good. He's good.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
He's really good. I do. I like him.
I think he's just like, he's like a solid B actor, that kind of thing. But what he's done is created not only wealth, but he's also created longevity for himself in the entertainment industry and beyond. And that's what you need to do if you want to make the big bucks these days.
Yeah. Although his only misstep, I think, is his Wrexham soccer team over there.
Oh, really?
They released the numbers. They released the numbers for that, and there was a lot of red ink in their profit loss. Unfortunately,
that's not good.
And they're trying to push it with the TV show too. I mean, he's working every single angle he possibly can to make that successful. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Is he as nice in person as he seems on television?
Yeah, the interview I had with him was so pleasant. He's lovely, very sweet.
Great.
Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, that stuff is great to hear because the guy's a big star. He's a very, very wealthy guy. He could be the biggest jerk on earth. But everybody I know, I've never met him, never talked to him, but everybody else told me what a great guy he is.
And I love how he handles his social media. He has like just pretend like beefs with like Hugh Jackman or he and his wife is Blake Lively. They tease each other back and forth.
Fantastic.
And it's very, it's done so clever and it never feels mean and it just feels really playful. I think that's what I love about it.
My favorite is he posted a picture of the two of them and it kind of cut off like her hair and part of her earrings. And so then he posted again and he was like, oh, my wife is upset that I, didn't show off her whole outfit, and he just crops himself out of the picture. Like that.
Or it'll be like happy birthday to Blake, and it's like a great photo of him, and like she's got her head turned or her eyes closed or something. I mean, but he's not doing it. It just doesn't feel mean at all. So I think that's why it works so well. And both of them do it back and forth to each other.
See, I think that's terrific. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Catherine and I have that kind of relationship all the way. I do what I want, and then she criticized me for it, and then we move on with life. It's wonderful.
That sounds about right. I mean?
Yeah.
Turtle Dove. I know she watched
semi-breaking news. Sandra Day O'Connor has died.
Sandra Day O'Connor died?
Yep.
93.
93 years old.
He had a good run.
That's a pretty good run. Yeah. 93.
I know, with Rosalind Carter at 96 and Sandra Day O'Connor at 93. That's a lifeline. That is a long lifeline. That's incredible.
If you're in your
How about
90s, yeah, you made it.
Henry Kissinger died at 100 this week.
100. Yeah, that's right.
he was
And
100
Jimmy
years old.
Carter is still alive at 99.
Somehow.
That's pretty good, and no doubt about that. So you think it's because none of them ever worked a day in their life? They just sat around on their ass. That's why they can live so long. Might be.
And we
You
might
never
live
know.
forever.
With the effort
We'll
we
be
make.
lucky to see you tomorrow.
No doubt about it. So I don't want to go long term on this whole deal, but it just keeps bothering me because I am a huge fan of movie theaters, and I did find out that when we're down in Florida, this movie theater, Andy and I, the last time we went there was to see Jumanji, and people were making so much noise we couldn't even enjoy it. But they're going to tear that. It's a palatial. Wouldn't you say it's a palatial movie theater, Andy?
Yeah, it's massive.
It's massive and it's just beautifully decorated. They're going to tear it down because the land is worth way too much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the days of like the huge like 12 Cineplex,
Yep.
I think those are gone. And I
They're
think
gone.
I feel like we'll see more manageable, like maybe 6 screens, but I'd rather that they do 6 screens and then invest in like great seating, a little bit more luxury. 'Cause when I am going to go to the theater, I'm going to order my food and I want to kick back and relax. And you know, when I just go to a regular movie theater, I bring my own blanket because I'm always freezing. So,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes they have
theaters closed
blankets
for
and
some
things like
reason.
that.
Yeah. Why do they keep the? Because I suppose if you got a few hundred people in there, they could heat it up in a minute.
Yeah, probably.
I guess that's what it would. But yeah, I mean, what do we have now left in Minnesota? I think there are 3 drive-ins in the entire state.
I didn't know we had any left.
Well, I think there's one left in the Twin Cities. I know there's one in Long Prairie, my birth town.
The one in Woodbury is closed now.
Oh, that's closed now too.
Yep.
Elko New Market's got one. Apparently Litchfield, Long Prairie's got one.
Yeah.
There's a few left.
Oh, there's statewide.
Does Minnesota do the rooftop cinemas in the summer?
No.
Those are really fun. And it's a great way, honestly, to sort of revive downtown areas. I'm just going to say this because they've started to do it during the pandemic, and they do it in downtown Los Angeles. And they put cinemas up on the rooftop decks, and you know, they put big screens and they serve popcorn and they put out comfy chairs. And it's honestly such a fun way to see a movie in the summer because they start about 8 p.m. as the sun goes down. It's great.
Well, the problem is in Minnesota, most rooftops are built to hold many hundreds of pounds of snow. They're not exactly built for like recreational use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not drinking spots like they are.
Yeah,
Well,
we have
there are patios.
They exist.
Are rooftops that will show movies like Brit's Pub. They'll do a lot of like soccer games, and they'll do movies every once in a while. So yeah, there are definitely.
We have a big movies in the park is our big thing in Minneapolis.
nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we saw The Incredibles, right? I think that one time.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't remember, but sure, why not?
Wait, you and I did?
Yeah.
I never went with you to
In the
that.
park, and your nephews or something were there. Whoever those kids were.
Puck and
Puck
and Tuck.
She has a nephew named Puck or something like that.
His
don't
name
you?
is Finn.
From
Finn.
I'm like, is someone a Midsummer Night's Dream fan? They're like, we're gonna name him Puck.
I don't remember that, Andy. I always think of you when we went to the Sharknado movie. That's like my favorite memory of us.
That was MST, right?
Yeah.
Theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They riffed on Sharknado.
Well, there you go. And by the way, you know, you were talking about Michelle Mann earlier. What they did with the Edina Theater here in town is great. The seating is incredibly good. The food's terrific. It's a hell of an experience. I think in order to get people to go to movie theaters, you're going to have to give them one hell of a good experience. Don't you think?
Yeah, you know, I would love for you to have her back on post Eras Tour and post Renaissance, which is, you know, Beyonce's concert movie this weekend. I'd love to hear like what she learned from those 2 experiences, because I feel like they just draw so many people to the theater and very specific targeted demographics too. And how and Barbie was probably another great example of that. How maybe they're hoping Hollywood responds to all of that.
When would you like her on next week or week after? When?
Yeah, anything past this weekend, because this weekend is where we'll see
Okay.
like how Beyonce's film fares, and I'm assuming it had a good opening night on Thursday, so I'm assuming it's going to do well this weekend.
All right, that sounds good. Tell me, do you have her number? Or should I send that to you, or should I just ask her to come on? It's up to you.
You can, if you can send it to me. I think I have it somewhere, but I don't remember if it was hers or not.
Yeah, if I give it to you, just don't be calling her and harassing her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll try not to just FaceTime her.
Text her at 2 a.m.
Kevin.
Like, come on. You've been requested.
Anytime
Yeah.
Kevin goes to a movie, he calls her just to
Yeah.
like give a review after.
Yep, I cause a scene and then like, do you know who I am? I know Michelle.
Yes, exactly. But yeah,
I
it's always.
saw Renaissance this weekend. Here's my full review, Michelle.
I just hope that young people, like say teenagers right now, that theaters are around long enough, because it is a phenomenal experience. Honest to God, as a kid, the first time you walk in that movie theater, and then in your teens and all, it's a hell of a nice experience. I hope they have that in the future.
I don't know.
Tom, I want to ask a
know.
question, because you just said like it's a fantastic experience, and that's what we're talking about now in 2023. Like, you go for the experience, you go for something special.
Mhm.
I just wonder, when they started building all these cineplexes, that were like 12 these screens and
Right,
more, 15 screens, that it maybe didn't become an experience anymore. It became like
Yeah.
the Gap on every corner and
Yep,
Starbucks in every
exactly.
corner. And maybe
Yeah.
we're returning, if they're making these movies in these theaters special again, we're returning to that experience that you remember as a kid.
Yeah, I'm hoping that is the case, because it was just, although my first one of my first experiences I can remember, and I probably had been to movies before, but I think I was 9 years old, something like that. I went to the Broadway theater to see the movie Girls, Girls, Girls with Elvis Presley. Okay. And I remember I got very depressed because I'm 9, 10 years old. I look up at the screen and I go, God damn, I ain't ever going to be that good looking. I'll never forget that. It's like, I'm never going to be as handsome as Elvis Presley. So look at that. I even though it was a sad experience, I embraced it and kept going to the theater. What do you think?
Elvis didn't ruin it for you.
No, he didn't ruin it for me. But I tell you one thing I did love about Elvis. He could not pronounce the word important.
How did he say it?
Important.
Oh.
The important thing is important.
That sounds all right.
I think a lot of people say it now, important.
Important. That's how I say
Important.
it. I don't say important. I say important.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
All right. So what else is coming? You were talking about the fifth season. I've been watching the fourth season of Fargo. Had never seen it. It's phenomenal. Can't wait to see 5. So we can go right from 4 to 5. It'll be great.
Yeah, I really want to. I want to watch it. I have John Hamm on my list for season 5 because I'm a big fan of his.
Oh, he's terrific.
He's so good. I just he got me hooked in Mad Men, and the year he won for Mad Men, because he was nominated every single year and he won in his final year. I was backstage when he came off from getting his Emmy, and I was telling my friend, I'm like, take my picture, pretend, because you can't get up close to them, they're on the stage. But I was like, make it look like he's at least over my shoulder, because I was like, that's as close as I'm getting to John Hamm tonight. So
is he tall?
He's probably about 5'10", 5'11".
Oh, really? I thought he was taller than that for some reason.
Most actors are under 6 feet.
I
The
suppose
real
that is
successful
true.
ones, yeah.
So basically, Officer Dave and Tevin are out. Is that what you're
You
saying?
had no shot, Tevin.
No.
Yeah, there's always the exception, you guys. Don't worry.
I always, every once in a while, I'll get through a local agency here. I'll do some casting calls and stuff. And every time I walk in the room, they go, "Ooh, like you're."
That's how I'll drink a water, Tevin.
I'm like, well, I will not be talking to you guys.
Well,
let me
think about it. Alexander Skarsgård is super tall.
That's why I was thinking of this whole time. I was like, he when he's in things, he makes everybody look tiny.
Mm-hmm. And when he played Nicole Kidman's husband in Big Little Lies, I mean, she at least is tall, but normally he's with these tiny little 5'3" girls.
Yeah.
They're probably putting them all on Apple boxes on set normally, because most of the leading ladies are 5'6" and under. And then Joe Manganiello is another one. And they were both in True Blood, so super tall. They had some tall actors on that set.
What was the guy's name that God, he was 7'4", and he was in a lot of like action thriller movies. And in real life, they had to take the front seat out of his car because he sat in the back seat so he could drive it. I will never forget that guy, but I don't remember his name. He was in, God, I can't remember he's a very, very tall guy. He looked pretty lurchy. He was a very lurchy looking guy too.
I hope no one ever says that about me.
But you don't look like Lurch. Yeah, I can tell you don't look a whole lot like Lurch, Brittany. That's very, very true.
Lurch
That's
was
the nicest thing.
That was Ted Cassidy. Right,
Yep.
okay.
And
I don't know if that was
he was huge.
huge.
I was
Maybe
like
it was
Andre the
Ted Cassidy.
Giant.
Yeah, this guy was bigger than Andre the Giant, for Christ's sake.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar during his acting years.
Yeah, how long did that last?
Maybe 2.
When you say lurchy, I think of the actor from Californication that was the dad to the stepdaughter.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the guy that I always think of. He's like a shadowy, lurchy kind of guy.
That was a good show, though. Californication was a really good show, didn't you think?
Yeah. David Duchovny is a good actor.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely is. He in anything now?
That's a good question. You know, every once in a while they revive like X-Files and he pops up. But I feel like
no, I agree with you. Guy's a terrific actor, but I just don't see his name anymore.
yeah, I'm just trying to think. Californication, X-Files.
Something called What Happens Later, a movie it looks like he was in 2023.
Really?
Oh, that's the Meg Ryan thing. Of course, he did the Meg Ryan rom-com that just came out. Yeah.
Pet Cemetery Bloodlines. But yeah, other than that, it's been just X-Files since.
Yeah, that Meg Ryan movie kind of came and went really fast, unfortunately. I think everyone was hoping it was her big return.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll find life on streaming because it didn't hit in theaters.
Yeah, could be. All right, we got about 2-3 more minutes. Any big one we should be looking for?
Well, since it's December 1st, for TCM fans, it is Cary Grant month. So if anyone's a Cary Grant fan, and this is kind of in honor of the new BritBox series that's coming out on December 7th called Archie. And Diane Cannon, who's his former wife, of course, and his daughter, Jennifer Grant, gave like permission. It's kind of like an authorized series on the early part of his life. And it's called Archie. So it's going to be a 4 episode series. So for people who are Cary Grant fans, that is all coming your way this month.
All right, Kristen, you can't respond to this. We're going to start with Brittany. What was Cary Grant's real name?
I have no idea.
Okay. Andy?
Cary Grant. I didn't know he had a real name.
Yep. Tevin, you got any idea?
I just gave you guys a hint with the series.
You did.
Archie.
His name was Archie Johnson.
Archie Johnson. Officer Dave, you can pull him out of the
I
mush.
have no idea.
Kristen, am I wrong in saying that his real name was Archibald Leach?
That is correct.
Yeah, Archibald Leach was. And he came to Hollywood. He goes, "You're not going with Archibald Leach in Hollywood."
No, it's not a good show name.
Cary Grant.
Cary, he was terrific though. Was he a good guy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like his personal life, I think was kind of messy, but
Yeah.
I think overall he doesn't have a difficult reputation compared to some other actors.
I'm throwing one out here
Like
that
an
you guys
Omar
might be-
Sharif.
Yeah, there you go. I'm throwing this out. This is probably a little bit old for you guys, but you remember the show Mayberry RFD?
Yep.
And Gomer's cousin was Goober. You remember Goober Pyle? You remember that character?
I do.
He shows up one day at the sheriff's office. He goes, "I got to tell you guys, been working really hard. I do a lot of impression now. I do a great impression of Cary Grant. You want to hear it?" They go, "Yeah, sure, Goober." And he goes, "Judy, Judy, Judy." That was his whole impression. I said, "Yeah, that's really good there, Goober. Good job." Judy, Judy, Judy. Yeah, that's good, man. No doubt. All right, Kristen, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, have a good weekend, everyone.
Happy birthday early because I won't see you Monday.
Yeah, happy birthday. Isn't your birthday Sunday?
My birthday's Sunday.
Monday, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the third. Indeed.
Third. Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Kristen Bird Entertainment News is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. Kristen Burt, a wonderful person. And we'll be right back. Wrap things up right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show.
Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Landon and Gavin Miller of D&B Plating.
I've always been impressed with their speed of answers to our questions, and that has allowed us to expand and capitalize on opportunities in the market.
North American Banking Company has never made us feel like a number. They've always treated us as a partner.
For more information about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com or stop by any one of their Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is Bob Sansevier, and I want to tell you about Dave Bialki from Bialki Law. Dave represented my wife, Mary, when she had a significant workplace injury. She was very happy with the job Dave did. If you have a work-related injury and have Dave represent you, I'm betting you'll be happy too. Dave is a down-to-earth guy. He grew up in northern Minnesota, rides a Harley, and worked various jobs doing concrete, electrical, plumbing, roofing, and carpentry work. Dave works for people with work-related injuries. If you work construction, or anywhere for that matter, and you're hurt or even just hurting, you should talk to Dave. Let's face it, our bodies wear out. If your body is worn out from work, if your knees or back or shoulders hurt from things you do at work, do what Mary did. Call Dave and talk to him about it at Bialki Law to set up a free initial consultation. The number to call is 763-571-2410. That's 763-571-2410. Or visit bialkilaw.com. That's BIALKE law.com.
You need to know a guy for your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. The same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your financial situation. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions, and Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor and call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That is 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did, and tell him his guy, Tom, sent you.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. Tom Barnard is a paid endorser.
The new Tom Barnard Show is proud to have partners like Bradshaw and Bryant, MyPillow, and North American Banking Company founder, chairman, and president, Mike Bilski.
I've advertised on Tom's show for years, and the reason is simple. My business is recognized because of the ads, and that recognition has created growth. What business doesn't want to grow? I highly recommend the Tom Barnard Morning Show for your advertising.
Grow results for your business by partnering with the Tom Barnard Show. Visit TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner.
All right, I need the help of all four of you because I do not know what. Do you know what a smart toilet is?
Yeah.
Anyone? Oh, you do?
I can make some educated guesses.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it?
Well, it's one of those, I would say it'd fall in line with the smart TV or not a smart TV, but a smart fridge where you can have settings and kind of control it through your phone. And
Control what?
like
flushing?
Yeah, flushing, but I'm sure it has a bidet in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's in there as well. Well, I still don't understand this story then. Okay, so this is about a smart toilet. A smart toilet burst into flames as someone was using it.
Dang, because I wonder if the seats heated.
Definitely.
Most likely, yeah.
Oh, is that what it would have been? The seat started on fire?
That's terrifying.
That would be a little warm.
Yeah. Is this the, I think I saw a picture of this. Is it like the white toilet where it's all black and charred and it's a black guy that was using it?
I'm going to check. Oh, really? No, I haven't seen that part of it yet. Oh, they don't have a picture of it on my deal. No, they don't have a picture.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Well, you know what? It might say something in the story. Having smart appliances is all the rage, even for stuff that definitely doesn't need to be smart, like a toilet. And sometimes there are downsides of things being overly complicated. There's a story making the rounds about a man in China who had his smart toilet burst into flames while he was using it. It happened a few weeks ago. The man first sensed that something was wrong when he smelled smoke. He smelled smoke while sitting on the toilet. Then he saw plumes of smoke billowing from the toilet bowl. That's when he got off. Just then, before he could pull his pants up, the toilet exploded. So what would
that'll be a faulty heating element for sure. Or
it exploded.
battery. It almost sounds like a battery explosion.
Oh, really?
I don't know why a toilet would need a battery, though.
Yeah, not everything needs to be smart.
No. Toilet's probably the last thing that needs to be smart.
Yeah, just the other day I was talking about this. That our clothes washer and dryer has the options. It's like you can start it from your phone, and I was like, in what scenario will I put all my laundry in and detergent, leave the house, and go, oh yeah, my phone, like.
The only I can see. So Melissa's brother has one of those, and the only feature that it has related to the phone that I can see being convenient is it tells you when it's done.
Yeah, but even then, like, my life is not like the laundry's done, so I sprint upstairs.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
Yeah, but it's like, our old one had the ability to start it with your phone. And I was like, I cannot think of a use for this.
And if you did want it started, the only use I could think is if you were, let's say, Brittany, you're leaving to come here early in the morning. You don't want to wake up Justin or Gogo because the washing machine is right next to your
put the
bedroom.
clothes in
so
the
you
night
put it,
before.
and so then you do a
Yeah.
timer so it starts later. But
Okay,
you could do a delayed start.
But yeah, all washing machines have delayed
Yeah.
starts. So it's like, I don't know.
I just don't live a life most of the time where I need a smart anything. And Tom, I'm getting so annoyed. So I love Justin, love him. I always preface that before I talk major shit. He loves hooking up our lights to, I'm not going to say her name, but the lady
Alexa.
that you tell.
Uh-oh.
She can't hear you through the headphones, Brittany. Your phone.
No, I'm saying not mine. I'm thinking about the listener.
Okay, now what are we talking about here?
Okay, you know Alexa?
Yeah.
Well, Justin hooked up our lights to Alexa. And
So you
now,
just say, Alexa, turn on the tree.
yeah. And now, like in mid conversation, it'll be so annoying. It'll be like, hey, yeah, I'm going to go to the Alexa, turn on the light. It's like,
Oh, God.
I'm not trying to live that life. Okay. Like I miss a switch. I miss just putting a switch on. I don't want to yell at her. I'm sick of talking to her most of the time anyways. So I want to be dumb. I want to have a dumb house.
Yeah, we went a little nuts on the smart lights thing for a little while, and they just don't work very well is the thing. And like we have some, and we do use them, and it's nice. But there are people who every light in their house is a smart light, and that just makes things more difficult because the smart lights, like you can't turn them off with the switch.
Yeah.
Because they're not designed to be turned off with the switch. They're designed to be turned off with the app. So it's like you either have to tell Alexa to turn off the lights or you have to go into your app, which is much slower than just flicking the switch.
Yeah.
All right, let me try it. Alexa, turn off the Tom Barnard morning show.
What is wrong with
before
Dude,
before you turn off the
11.
Tom Barnard morning show, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Because it's not on our run sheet because it's for the family show, but we finally were able to come through and get Patty Wetterling on for you. So I'll be departing because
she's going to be on today?
Yep, with Joy.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Thank you so much for doing that because many people probably don't know this, but when she lost her son, that I got a bunch of I don't know, you can't really call them. There was just a bunch of announcements about, careful with your son. And it was so touching to watch Patty and her husband sit there and try to hold their composure while I'm talking about their son who had just died and disappeared for a long time. They just found him, like 2 years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, it was very recent.
She has done more to protect my kid because of the laws she's placed and put into act. She's done more to protect my kids and Ethan and all the kids in Minnesota than any other person in the world. It's amazing 100%. The things that she has put into action, and she's so amazing.
Great family, I'll tell you what, honest to God. And like I said, then I was brought on to do other things like kids who died of huffing, and I did a bunch of things for families trying to recover from losing their children.
Wow.
And I'll never forget the one guy. I saw him about 2 years later, and I walked up and said, "How you doing?" And he said, "Tom, how do you think I'm doing?"
Yeah. Oh.
It just never goes away.
No.
It's pretty amazing. All right, well, that was a cheery ending.
On that note, I'm going to go hug Gogo. I love you all.
I think it's a good idea. Let's all do that. All right, we'll be back in about 5-10 minutes?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, we'll be back.
4 minutes and 31 seconds.
Excellent. Thank you.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Guys, if you want to reignite your intimacy once and for all, listen, just give Twin Cities Premier Health a call for a discreet and confidential in-office evaluation by their highly trained staff of medical professionals. Acoustic wave therapy sessions are 25 to 30-minute treatments with no pain, no downtime afterward. And right now, Twin Cities Premier Health is offering a free treatment and a free consultation when you book today. Receive this $800 value when you use code word TOM at TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. You may know that age-related erectile dysfunction is most commonly caused by a buildup of plaque in the arteries that supply blood to the erectile tissue. Acoustic wave therapy can rescue your relationship and has been clinically proven to break up plaque. Definitely take advantage of this limited time special offer. Receive a free treatment and a free consultation when you book today. This is a savings of $800 when you use code word TOM at TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. Be sure to use promo code TOM so we get credit for sending you. I wouldn't recommend a service like this unless I knew they could help you. TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristen Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristen, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That's onekeywest.com. Before you head back to one of the big box stores for your hunting and shooting needs this season, do yourself a favor and visit my choice, K&L Surplus and Ammo in Lino Lakes. Not only does K&L have one of the widest selections of firearms and ammo in the Twin Cities, they also do business the right way. They want to make sure that you have the right firearm and the right ammo for your needs. Jim, the owner, has over 25 years of experience in the business and will help you find what you need at a fair price. Speaking of prices, a lot of stores are using inflation and supply shortages as an excuse to raise prices on ammunition. Not K&L. Jim's doing everything to hold the line on pricing so you can spend more time on the range. Find out for yourself why K&L Surplus and Ammo has been the choice of gun owners for over 25 years. Go in and chat with Jim in person at the store on Lake Drive in Lino Lakes or online at klgunstore.com. klgunstore.com. Welcome to the family with
Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk.
Officer Dave.
Joy Baker. Patty Wetterling.
And Andy Bernard.
And in studio,
co-host Catherine Brandt.
Absolutely. Patty, you came in and we've loaded up just to have you in studio.
Absolutely.
Patty, looking back on all the years ago when I came in and cut a bunch of messages to send out to the public and all the rest of it, I was so immediately impressed with you, well, your whole family, the strength that you showed and the fact that you were out there trying to help other people get their things taken care of and get everything done. I will never forget those recording sessions. And how many years ago is that now, Patty?
34. My gosh.
34 years ago. My goodness. So I was only like 5 years old then. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, me too. I was really young.
We're really, really
Still
young.
really young. Are you kidding me? You're very young. It's a
That's
good thing
true.
she's married.
He got his mic. Andy got his mic turned on?
I sure do.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Oh, is he? Yeah, once in a while he'll lay. Josh will lay back a little bit. Patty and Joy, how did you get involved?
Oh gosh, I got involved in 2010 kind of originally. That's when I started my blog. I was in marketing and just trying to be a writer. And I started writing about a beach house down in Florida. It had nothing to do with Jacob Wetterling.
Really?
And then, really had nothing to do with true crime or anything like that. So I was blogging about this beach house for a while. It got to be a huge epic story. People were following my blog, helping me with this mystery. And then after that started to wind down, I was looking for something new to write about. And I started writing about Jacob.
So you had not met Patty yet?
No, that didn't come for a few years, and that did not go well at first.
Well, what'd you do now, Patty?
Well, I met this woman. She handed me her business card. I went home and gave it to Jerry. I went to bed. I'd been on the road. And in the morning, he said, well, there goes your book. She's already written it. And I'm like, what? Who is this Joy Baker? I had no idea who she was. And so we had about a 2.5, 3 hour phone call that day. And she earned my trust, which was, not easy. I'd worked with law enforcement all these years, and I was not used to individuals interceding. But she called herself Joy the Curious. And after it was almost a 25-year mark when we seriously started working together. And she was curious. She was asking questions that nobody had asked. She found out about those other victims that nobody had really. They might have known about it at the beginning, but it was not in anybody's frame of mind of being important until Joy came back. And she just ruffled things up. And we formed a partnership. It was Jared, one of the other victims, in January of 1989. He was abducted and then released. And he was talked to at the very beginning after Jacob was abducted, but they really leaned on him hard. He emotionally just stopped, and he moved to Painesville, ironically. But we formed this coalition. Joy found Jared through genealogy and research. She's good. And then so it became a foursome. Joy, Jared, my husband Jerry, and I jokingly called it, a plumber, a blogger, a chiropractor, and a mom.
All of that stuff. Yeah, no doubt about it. Joy, an interesting thing. When did we start cutting the PSAs, public service announcements together, Patty?
Oh, gosh, it was within the first year, because I think the very first one was about the Jacob Wetterling Foundation, and it was educational. My background before all this, I was a math teacher, and I was learning so much about child abduction. I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing about law enforcement or crimes against children. And once you learn things, I felt I had to share. I was trying to keep other kids safe. I wanted parents to know. I wanted to take away the fear. Their fear was just paralyzing a lot of communities. And so you helped us with that very first one. And then we did a couple other PSAs later. So yeah, you were there from the very beginning, and it was. People give me credit for a lot of things, but we had support. We had Tom Barnard helping us out. I didn't know. Hadn't met you, and it was just people along the way just stood up and did what they could to help us try to find Jacob and protect kids.
Well, it was so amazing, Joy, was so I got a call that the Wetterling Foundation wanted me to cut some promos, some informational ideas put out there. And at the time, I believe Andy was about 3 and Alex was just born.
Yeah.
If I remember.
He had just been born, yeah.
Yeah, Alex had just been born. And Joy, I'm going to tell you, and I won't even look at Patty's picture while I'm telling you this. I had to fight for about an hour to not burst into tears. I will never forget that. I'm trying to cut these promos. I'm going, yes, I'll get that. I also got real macho, because it, Patty, I seriously, you and your husband were incredible to work with, but I literally had to stand there and say, I cannot project this. I suppose a lot of people do. It was a very, very tough period, Joy. So you must have experienced some of that yourself, I would imagine.
Oh, for sure I did. I mean, Patty's a huge role model. And not only that, I mean, of course, we love her. She's our super mom, especially in Minnesota. But at the time when, I had started writing about I picked it back up again in 2013 when I was asked by a person of interest in the case, actually, to look back into the case and to listen to his side of the story. And so I agreed to do that. And so I really was at that point interfering, I would suppose, at least from law enforcement side of things. And so when, Patty kind of saw what I was doing and got very concerned, both Patty and Jerry, I'm sure. And there came a point where she said, this is starting to not feel good. This is starting to feel a little bit stalkerish. Yeah. And that was horrifying, because by that time, that was really, she went into full mama bear mode when I had found Jared and told her that, I had Jared over for pizza and a beer tonight, and here's what he had to tell me. And she kind of just went, oh, no. Jared very much wanted to talk to her son, Trevor, and Jacob's friend, Aaron, who had been with him that night he was abducted. And she just put her foot down and said, absolutely not. She was just being very protective of all three of them at that point. And I felt horrible. I felt really, really awful. And I looked at myself, from standing outside my own skin and thought, good God, am I a stalker? Is this stalkerish? I felt awful. And so I tried to walk away. And I thought, if I, as a mom, am bringing more harm than good to another mom, I thought I was helping. And so I was ready to walk away. And it was Jared who just kept reeling us all back in, saying, oh, no one's going anywhere. We're going to get together. We're going to work this out. I know that this is something we need to do. And he was right.
No question about it, Patty. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I put the largest police officer I could find in studio with you guys.
Yes, we met. I'm glad he's on our side.
Yes, absolutely. Officer Dave, you must get some calls as a police officer that you dread responding to, I would imagine.
All the time, Tom. Anytime that it's a child is involved, it's just, you go into hyper adrenaline mode where you do everything in your power to, whether if it's something as simple as a kid fell off a bike, it's like, oh God, so yeah, it's occasionally it's happened. Yep.
Yeah, no question about that. Patty, do you look back on all of this now? At first, it's got to be. I guess I'm speaking for myself here. At first, it would be, well, why me? Why did this happen to my family? Do you go through a period like that? And did you at the beginning?
Well, certainly law enforcement was looking at why us. What about your family is unique, and so we went through that process, but we knew we didn't do anything wrong, and it turns out it wasn't anybody that we knew. We'd never met the man. He had no reason to be in St. Joe. So I really let go of that quickly. It shouldn't happen. I'm just all about kids. It shouldn't happen to any child anywhere.
No.
And so that was our focus, was trying to protect children from having this happen. And as we learned things along the way, I tried to get them out. And but so I didn't do the why me thing and why Jacob. I really didn't. But I just really think it should never happen.
No question. And particularly, Patty, and then I'm going to, I want Catherine to say a couple of words here, but particularly, you're in St. Joseph, Minnesota. There should be no safer place in the world.
Right. Right. And Jerry, being a chiropractor, knows almost everybody in town. I was a stay-at-home mom. It was funny. We'd go to the Christmas Chamber of Commerce thing, and it's like, oh, so good to see you, Dr. Wetterling and Mrs. Nobody knew who I was. I was with the kids all the time, and so yeah, it was just out of my realm of consciousness, and took everybody by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, St. Joseph, Minnesota, you would think, my God, I couldn't be any safer. There's no question. It's kind of funny because we do the show usually is with Officer Dave is there, Andy, our Catherine, my son. But I wanted Catherine to be on the show today because I was like, well, I don't want him surrounded by 3 guys asking questions. I want a woman to be, you know what I mean? Did that make sense to you?
Thank you.
Well, I just, I mean, everybody's life changed in Minnesota after Jacob was abducted. I mean, seriously, I remember being completely paranoid for years about our kids. I mean, you were on the radio, you were well known, and we had this.
I'm not really loved by everyone. Let's not. Yeah,
we had this maniac running around, you know, abducting children, and it was just so amazing to me that it took so long to figure out who did it. Why is that?
That's a really good question. And it's a lot of reasons. You have to remember it was 1989.
Yeah.
We did not have cell phones. We did have, somebody gave us a cell phone. It was a big honking thing.
Brick. Brown brick. Yep.
It wasn't the brick kind. It had a box and a little receiver sat on the box. And then we had the magnet, you know, antenna. You really couldn't go anywhere with this little cell phone thing. They literally, the telephone company came and dropped a second line across our yard so the police could reach us, and we'd leave our home phone line open in case somebody called. But they literally dropped the line. You could see it across the backyard. So what happened was they collected amazing evidence. They did a really good job. Charlie Graft was sheriff, and he had like 40 years of law enforcement. He pulled in everybody he could think of to come and help with the horses and the dogs, and National Guard came in. Everybody did what they could. But it wasn't enough. This man's name came up early on, and he was arrested in January. But it was weren't they looking into Jared's abduction at that point in time? He was looked at as a suspect, and it didn't. There was nothing, and there was no evidence to hold him. So they followed him. They checked with coworkers. They did investigate the man. He had no prior record. He wouldn't have been on a sex offender registry even if we'd had one. So he was one of a handful of suspects that they never could rule in or out until the very, till nearly 27 years later. And his name had come up again. I look to Joy for the timelines of things. About this point, my mind just started getting scrambled all over again.
Yep.
It was a crazy, crazy time. They didn't have enough. He was suspicious. They didn't have enough to pull him in. Everybody says they had the tire track and the shoe, but it wasn't identifiable. It wasn't forensically just his. Anybody who wore that size shoe, it could have been you, or anybody who bought those kind of Sears tires for that size car, it could have been you. There was no snag on the tire, or he didn't wear his shoes off at the heel or anything. It was nothing unique.
Nothing specific to that one person, which a lot of people don't understand. To actually tie somebody to a crime, you've got to physically put that one person.
Yeah, isn't it true that no amount of circumstantial evidence is enough?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but the media would show it, and visually it looked like a match. So, but that wasn't enough. So eventually they did have enough with this man. Just a lot of things came forward, and they had enough to do a search warrant. So when they did the search, they were looking for anything Jared and anything Jacob. Actually, what else? I forgot. My timeline is mixed up. When a cold case review team came back, it was before the 25th anniversary, Jerry and I went and talked to the sheriff, and it's like, we want the team back. You've had it for almost 25 years, and we want the original team back. It was the BCA, the FBI, the Tri-County Major Crime Unit. We wanted everybody to take a fresh look And by this time we were working with Joy, and she had come up with a lot of other information as well. So the sheriff called a meeting, and he literally said, "Patty's upset. Go ahead, Patty." I said, "Well, you didn't have to ask twice." I had research. I knew that there were kids who'd come home after 20 years, 27 years. I knew that we needed answers and that it was time to do more. So they revisited Jared's case and Jacob's case and reran some evidence in Jared's case, and they got a hit on Danny Heinrich. That's probably the only time you'll hear me say his name. So there was enough, but the statute of limitations had run out. That's been fixed too, but they couldn't charge him for that abduction and sexual assault, but they could get a search warrant. So then when they did that,
we learned so much as law enforcement from what you guys went through that, well, we have to remove this. We have to change this. This has to be fixed.
Right.
So
I thought that there was no statute of limitations on murder. Is that in my own brain?
There's not. So that is why they were able to get their search warrant, and they were able to do what they did because they were now moving to the possibility of a murder case.
Okay.
At first, I believe it was just an abduction, and they weren't believing the murder part.
There was no evidence to suggest that.
Right.
Yeah. But then they found all of this pornography.
Oh God.
And it was really troubling because at this point he lived a block from a middle school, which is about the age that he was targeting. And he still was taking pictures, not nude photos, but compromising pictures. And so he was arrested on those pornography charges. We thought the law enforcement said, we're hoping that there will be a quick turnaround. We can pressure him into telling more. They knew that he had taken Jared, and they'd all along thought that these two were connected. So, but it wasn't a quick turnaround. It was 10 months before that his lawyer contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Pretty amazing. The whole story is amazing. Joy, talk about the book, if you would.
Yeah, the book. Well, that's an amazing turn of events in this whole thing. Mm-hmm. Patty, back in 2015, when we were just kind of really in deep with investigating and looking into all the Paynesville cases and trying to make connections and talk to those people and those survivors, really, of attacks in Paynesville on young teenage boys. That's about the time Patty had said, I've been thinking about writing a book. I've started it over the past several years on and off. Would you be interested in helping me? And I said, well, of course, sure. What exactly are you thinking? And she said, well, gosh, it's so big. It's such a big story. I don't know how to even begin. But she said, I have so much stuff. I have so much stuff. Do you think maybe you could just help me get a handle on the stuff? And I said, well, sure, of course. Just what do you think? You want me to come pick it up? And she said, yeah, that'd be great. She said, I'm going to be gone. I'll be in Washington, D.C. this week, but Jerry will be home. Why don't you just come and pick it up and arrange with Jerry? And I said, sure. So I went up to her house, and oh my goodness, the stuff. It filled the whole back of my Ford Explorer, and it was like cases and boxes, and there were grocery bags and kitty litter boxes full of things. And I took it all home and thought, oh my goodness, where do I even begin? And so I began by going to my very favorite place in the world, which is the Container Store. And I bought a bunch of airtight, watertight bins and just started organizing things. And that's how it all got started. And in the midst of all of that is when Danny Heinrich was arrested. And I was sorting through Jacob's things, Jacob's handwritten journals and his, little artwork that he'd made over the years and cards that he'd made for his mom and dad. And that broke my heart. I remember just going down after his arrest and staring at those bins and just having a complete come apart. Yeah. Because I thought, if it's him, oh, good God, where's Jacob?
What a story. Josh is still in the studio, isn't he?
Yes, I am still in the studio. I'm just fascinated just listening to how this thing has been put together.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But Josh, you're a very smart man. That's why I wanted to toss it to you. You probably have a question or two.
Well, these are more emotional questions than anything else. As a parent, I cannot imagine going through what you've what you went through and probably still go through to this day. I know it can be a little cathartic to talk about it, but I'll say as a parent, should anything have happened to any of my children, I'd be still devastated to this day, even just bringing it up. So I'll say the power that you have to continue to talk about it and advocate not only for your son, but for other sons and daughters that are out there is truly amazing to me. And the strength that you have to, continue this on.
I knew what we were fighting for. I know Jacob. I knew his fun personality. He's smart. He's a good sport. And I could hear him. Honestly, he played goalie, and first of all, he learned how to play hockey, which was fun. But suddenly he wanted to be goalie. I'm like, how can you do this to your mother? Really, it was a lot of pressure.
It's all the gear. I like the gear. I like the center of attention. I think that's the center of attention, and knowing that as a goalie you're protecting something, and
exactly,
he obviously was protecting his brother and friend.
And when he was goalie, I asked him if it ever bothered him when somebody scored against him, and he's got a great attitude. It's like, no, not really. If it went in, it was a great shot. If I stopped it, that was a great save. And I honestly, I thought about that all throughout this journey. Whenever another missing child came home, Elizabeth Smart came home after 9 months, and I could hear Jacob in the background saying, that was a great save. We worked hard to get kids to come home. I served on the National Center board, and I actually, when all this went down, I was chair of the board, and we were looking at a nationwide search for a new CEO. So I had my hands full on trying to commit to that. And so Jerry was the strong family person. He could keep up with Joy and Jared and everything that was going on. And I would catch up when I got home. But it's like, think about just for a minute, what would you do to protect your child? You'll do anything. And that's what I just kept going forward and asking questions. I drove Stearns County nuts, I'm sure. I remember one time I got involved in doing law enforcement presentations because I knew that there was very little training back then. And so I was the victim perspective, how to work with these families. And we set up a program to network. And so I knew I'd worked with lots and lots of families, and I could do these trainings. At the time, 1989, the FBI was in charge of our case. They all came from the bank robbery division. And, as a parent, you want people to know exactly what they're doing. Is. Yeah. So I lost my train of thought where I was going with this whole story. But it was Jacob. I swear he has a very strong spirit, and he guided this journey. Trevor said it best. He said he wasn't ready to go. He still had work to do.
Well, and I think Patty's being very humble, as she always is, but she said something to the effect of, how far would any parent go to protect their kid? Well, yes, of course, we would all go to great lengths, but she went beyond that. She went beyond and beyond over and over and over again. And it was so very important for me to have her write this book in her own words. And I think, I called her super mom before, and that is, we go out on these events now and do these speaking events and book signings. And I can't tell you, especially the moms who come up and just want to hug her and want their photo taken with her and to tell her, oh my gosh, I remember exactly where I was when Jacob was taken. And every single person has a story to tell, and she's got an X factor about her. And when we started writing this book, I said, Patty, people are going to want to know where this strength comes from. I mean, surely this didn't come from nowhere. Surely there have been things in your background, in your growing up years that affected you, that caused you to have this strength. And she has an amazing, amazing backstory. And I was fascinated to hear all of it. So fascinated, in fact, that our book was like 600 and some odd pages before we had to cut it all down, which was so hard because a lot of that had to go. That was, I think, really painful for Patty.
Maybe you write another book.
We should. I could. I could write part 1 and part 2 of Patty Wetterling.
Yeah, the editing part was really hard because we stopped writing after Heinrich was after we had answers and Jacob we brought him home, not the way we wanted to, but I was devastated, and it took about 2 years. And Joy did a lot of coaching, and it's like, start with, tell me about, where were you born? Just so I could write about safe topics. And so that's where the whole beginning was. And we had written a lot of the book. During COVID, we rented an Airbnb.
VRBO.
Yeah, VRBO.
Mm-hmm.
We isolated and did everything precautionary and brought a ton of groceries and stayed in this house thinking we were going to finish this book, and met with an editor coach person, and she pretty much said, no, you can't go 100 pages before you get to Jacob's abduction. You got to. So we had to start over. It was probably the third time we'd started over. Yeah. But it was a whole different book. I had started to write the book as one more way for people to keep Jacob's story alive and to keep hope alive and to keep people searching and protecting their own children. And now it was a different book. And you used the word cathartic. It was, for me, I had never stopped to look back. I was constantly, what are we going to do next? I got to keep Jacob's story out. That's the way kids are found, is when there's their name and their story and their pictures out there. And I was constantly, what's next? And after he was found, I did go through a really horrible time of feeling futility. What was my life what was that all about? 27 years of doing this, and I was a searching parent, and now who are you? And it was a long way back, but Joy coached me into starting writing again, and actually I get asked this question a lot, so I'm just going to tell you the answer. Why did you write the book? For me, it was to be a thank you for all the people who helped along the way, and reviewing what we went through was helpful to me. It brought perspective and I could reflect over it all. And one thing that we've learned on the road with book sales is nobody had a chance to process the ending. If you think about any crime, just think of any crime. Jerry and I were told on Monday night this guy might be willing to talk. A lot went on that week. The following Monday was Labor Day, and Tuesday was a hearing, and she told the world what he had done. And within about 5-6 weeks, there was sentencing. I mean, that never happens. Yep. Never. It's years. Yep. Years. So it was like nobody had a chance to even process this long journey that they'd been on with us. And so I'm hopeful that the book helps other people too, get some perspective, and it really is my love for Jacob and my gratitude for all the people who helped us, and it's a request that people follow their hearts and don't give up, and regular people can do amazing things. Joy and I talk a lot about the victims in Painesville. Many of these men had never told anybody. Once given the opportunity, and Jared was so brave, he talked, and then Joy had found these others, and Jared said, I think I know some of them, and then other people would come forward. She can probably tell this better than I of how these people came forward, but it's a grieving community. They went through a lot, and there were a lot of victims who had never gotten any help. And so it's an opportunity to say thank you, and to honestly thank law enforcement. They never quit. Our sheriff was on the wrong guy. I mean, he had named a person of interest, and so that was frustrating at the end. But there were detectives still working, and when that team came back, they pulled all the pieces together. Nobody gave up. And I thank law enforcement. nobody calls 911 when they're having a good day. And we expect you to come and to know exactly what to do and whatever. And right now, I think law enforcement's getting beaten up. And I just want to say there's a lot of times that they should be thanked as well. Thank you.
What's so great about this, Patty, and Joy, just having you in studio. I don't know what it's all about, but there's a lot of, and it's flat out hatred in the world right now. I don't know in all my years of being alive that people have been this mean and this filled with hate and turning on one another. And it's all over the world. You can't get away from it. If they want to sit down and watch this interview, listen to this interview, how you can walk away hating anyone or wanting to harm anyone, I would never understand. I'll give you an example. About 10 minutes ago, you were talking about your son, and I teared up a little bit. And I looked over, and so did Officer Dave. And I've been asked many, many times. Yeah, I saw you. You were tearing up. I did see it, which is a great thing. And I'm glancing at my son, Andy, who's, at the control. And I've been asked many times, and this is a true story. Who's the toughest guy? Because I used to, do a lot of powerlifting and hang out with a lot of professional wrestlers and boxers and people like that. And I've always been asked, who's the toughest guy you've ever met? And I said, it's not a guy. It's Patty Wetterling. True story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
100%.
True. Now you made me tear up again, Patty. Damn it. I can always tell when I'm emotional because my voice gets higher rather than lower. It's really kind of weird.
Constricts.
So again, where the book is available, the name of the book is
Dear Jacob. Along the way, I kept writing letters to him.
oh yeah.
How do you I didn't want to have Thanksgiving. I wanted let's just grill hamburgers, and my family vetoed that. They wanted Thanksgiving, but it was hard because it's such a tradition. And then Christmas, and I pulled out the Christmas stuff, and there's his letters to Santa and the stocking that I made. I mean, it was really, really hard. So I would write to him. It's like nobody's quit, and I would share what we were doing, and then later his cousin got married. I wanted him to know that Alan got married. And so, I had written all these letters along the way. And I wanted to, at one point, just hand him this envelope of, what we'd done to find him. But that didn't happen. But I had written, and it was helpful to me to kind of know what was going on in our life at different times. So then it's called Dear Jacob, A Mother's Journey of Hope. And we're actually going to be at a bookstore tonight.
Oh, good.
We're going to be at Barnes & Noble in Edina near Southdale. So that's happening tonight. Oh, gosh, I should know.
You just say Barnes & Noble. It's in the Galleria Mall.
Yes.
On the lower level.
There you go.
Josh
Perfect.
to the rescue.
Big fan over there.
Josh to the rescue.
I am a big fan. I'm they actually have a very good bakery there.
That's awesome. And you know what's right over there too? The Container Store.
I don't stop at the Container Store.
I'm
I tend
dragging
to stop
Patty
at
there for sure.
restaurants. There's a good restaurant there called Cove.
Oh, Cove is great.
So that's one of my favorite places. If you go there, just ask for Dave Rickhouse, who's the general manager. Tell him that Josh sent you.
Okay.
Perfect. We got a reference here.
You got a reference.
And Tom, I just want to add to your earlier comment. We lived through this horrible trauma, but along the way, we have met so many amazing people. There's way more good people in the world than bad.
Sometimes it's hard to remember.
Sometimes it is. But the little town of St. Joseph, Minnesota rallied, and everybody stood up. And then the entire state of Minnesota just was united. I think the world needs that feeling again. We need to pull together. I can't think of a greater cause than protecting our children so that they have the right to grow up and follow their dreams. And it's going to take all of us to do that. But it's setting aside some of the differences, and let's unite around
absolutely
protecting our kids.
And that whole 11 for Jacob movement that all of Minnesota and beyond became involved in, that was so, oh my gosh, that was so needed. I think we all were just devastated by the darkness and the horror that we lived through in those end days, learning what had happened. And out of nowhere, that started with kids. And Patty, you should tell this story.
We, one of my friends at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children had a nephew after Jacob was found, and he wanted to put 11 on his cheek for a soccer tournament that weekend. So they called for permission, and Jerry and I thought that was an amazing thing. And it came from an 11-year-old kid out in Arlington, Virginia, or Alexandria, Virginia. So then our office, in their brilliance, thought, but it should stand for something. And so they took all of the talks and everything that they'd ever heard me say about Jacob and put them down. And I have the list. We can post it on your site. But suddenly it turned from this horrible, devastating news of how Jacob had been killed to talking about how he lived. Right. And how we want other kids to live. And it's so often this issue gets tied to sex education. It's not that. It's about being a decent human being. Be fair, be kind, be understanding, be honest, be thankful, be a good sport, be a good friend, be joyful, be generous, be gentle with others, and be positive. And I truly believe if we nurtured these in our children growing up, we would have citizens who wouldn't grow up to harm another. And I want that to be his legacy, and I want that to be the world that we still believe in.
I love that.
Isn't it just magnificent? I mean, it's just a wonderful message. We need a lot more people like you. And by the way, Patty, I got to say one thing. Last time I saw you was about 30 years ago? Is that right? Probably 30 years ago. Why don't you look any older?
I think it's, you keep your vision lately. I had a lot of wrinkles. I earned every one of them.
Yeah, I bet you earned every wrinkle you have. You're so strong. And Joy, thank you very much for doing the book in the first place. It's just one of those situations where I will never forget the honor it has been in my life to have met the Wetterlings. It was, just watching them while I'm talking about these things on microphone. They're played all over the United States, and it taught me a lot about what real people are all about. You're a very real, you're a very real couple, very, very nice people. And there are all these other people out there that, there's some people I don't like very much, these people that want to do nothing but what you were talking about. Stir the pot and cause hatred and, I'm upset. I'm a victim. Everybody's a victim. Patty, how do you deal with that when you see people on TV going, I'm a victim? No, you're not.
Well, no, everybody has something going on in their life. And that's what I think we've been tying into this energy with the book. I've talked to parents who've lost kids to disease, cancer, car accidents, suicide, and people will often say, but it's not the same as, but part of it is. Yeah. It's the loss of a child, and but it's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the order of things. We're not supposed to outlive our children. And I feel, I don't know. It was Jacob who pulled me out of the dark and looking towards the light. And I feel for people who are in that dark place and hope that they can get some help. And I had a lot of counseling, and actually Jerry and I were struggling, and it was 2 BCA agents who came and talked to us. They'd send Denny and Joelle whenever something was coming down, we're going to polygraph your husband. And, it was always Denny and Joelle, but this time they came and they said, we're both divorced. It's not uncommon in law enforcement, but we can see you're struggling. You need to get some help. We want Jacob to have a home to come home to. And so we did. We now in April celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
I'm proud of that.
Yes.
It's big time. We did it. It was hard. I think marriage can be hard on a good day. It was hard. It was hard getting through this, but he's a good man, and I'm so grateful, and our kids are better because of it.
I just want to point out that when you said that some of the good days are hard, Catherine looked right at me. So thank you. That really made that well. No,
I don't know why you're such a joy.
Wow!
Oh my goodness!
Joy's sitting right there. You took a shot at her. Unbelievable. So Joy, tell me the book. Are you real happy? Well, like you said, it was 600 pages long. There might be a part 2, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. No, we managed to whittle it down to 300 and some odd pages, but yeah, it's something we're both really, really proud of. And it was so hard to write for all the reasons. Of course, when we started, Patty mentioned it was really, I would say, a legacy piece. I wanted her to write her own memoir in her words and it to be a tribute to her and to Jacob. And then in the middle of all of it, there was a whole new ending that we had to write, and we didn't even know how or if we should continue on. And Patty mentioned how she struggled. We had to set it away for 2 years. From 2016 to 2018, we didn't write at all, not a thing.
Okay.
And it was really a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, actually, who offered us her cabin. She said, Joy, you guys, you need to write this book. You need to finish this. Patty needs to finish this book. And she offered us her cabin, which happens to be on Lake Coronis in Paynesville. And so Paynesville has stepped it up again and again and again. The people of Paynesville are amazing, and they have been through so much. Gosh, on top of everything, on top of all the victimization that took place there, then to find out that Jacob, that is where they found him. I mean, it was just one thing on top of another, and they have really tried, hard to rally up from that, and they have. So I'm proud of this book. I'm so proud of them for coming forward, and I'm so incredibly proud of Jared. Jared was the game changer in all of this. He was the one, the catalyst, that he had an open case too. And so he had the merit to go forward and to go to the law enforcement and say, I need answers. What's going on with my case? What's happening here? And because he did that, that is what pushed things forward.
It's an amazing story. And you could tell me it's none of my business, Patty, no question about it. But I still find myself about 3-4 times a week talking to my mother, who's no longer with us. Do you once in a while talk to Jacob?
Oh, I do. Yeah. I see him. He had made this art project. It was an eagle when he was in 5th grade, and eagles seem to follow us wherever we go. So I see these eagles. It's like, hi, Jake. He's still with me, and it's strengthening. It is because, he was a gift. It was way too short of our time with him. But honestly, I can still hear him cheering when we find other missing kids. And I can still see him. My mom passed away as well, and my sister. And he's in good company, Jerry's parents. So, he's been well loved, and but he still comes to me in dreams and in eagles.
Well, my mother comes to me in dreams, but she's always yelling at me when she does. So.
Can you blame her, Tom? Come on.
No, I do not blame her. I cannot tell you what an honor it is to have both of you in studio. The fact that you came in and did this. It's always been a very special thing to me, and to be personally involved in the situation. That's why all these 30 some years later, I still tear up thinking about it. And it's because I was so emotionally involved. I can't believe how high my voice is. I can't even talk to my natural voice. But in any case, thank you so much, both of you. And where can people, where's the book signing tonight again?
It's at Barnes & Noble in Edina, the Galleria. And I want to say it starts at 7. Might be 5. Don't say that. But if I were you and you're interested in attending, certainly go to dearjacobbook.com. That is where they would find that whole information. Go to
dearjacobbook.com. We'll put that up on our website, obviously. But Patty, I'd like to check in once in a while and just see how you're doing, how the family's doing, all the things that you've done to help people through their struggles. I bet you don't even know how many thousands of people you've inspired, millions of people probably inspired by showing the strength that you have. It's amazing. You're an amazing person.
Thank you. You've been with us from the very beginning. So I was honored to get the invite back. So thank you.
All right. I have to go get my real voice back now.
You're doing great, Tom. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a magnificent day. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Patty, and everybody else. You've asked great questions. I got to see a 6'4", 300-pound police officer cry on camera. That was good. Josh, thank you for your great questions as well. Everybody involved. And I wanted Catherine sitting next to me this whole interview because
she is my strength. There's no doubt about it. All right.
Don't cry.
I'm not going.
You're okay.
All right. You gotta go.
Mom power.
Yeah.
Mom power. All right, Andy, that's going to do it, Pally.
Trafficking is more prevalent than ever.
Not than ever.